Hello and welcome to another lovely episode of So You Think You Can Fanon. I'm your host Sergio, and today I'm joined by Sherman and Sherman.
Hey, it's me, Dr. Sherman from Site 42. This is what I sound like.
This is what I sound like all the time, very obviously. There's two of me because we need extras for when they do bad things, and we gotta get rid of one. We always got a backup Sherm.
Yeah, and one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies. Nobody knows which one it is, not even I do.
Yeah,
which one of you is the backup?
He's the backup.
He's the backup.
Why don't you tell me something that only Sherm will know?
Shit. Alright, well, he's not saying anything, so clearly he doesn't know anything.
I was just waiting for you to reveal the gabagool is your favorite food! Motherfucker, I win!
Ugh, I don't want to be sure if my opinions are that bad. I give it up.
Also,
Gabagool.
I always need to ask now, cursing? Good? Bad?
Cursing is good.
Cursing is good. Yeah. I had to look
No
up what
slurs,
gabagool is,
but you can
actually.
swear as much as you want.
Motherfucker, yeah!
Oh, gabagool is just another name for Italian cured meat.
You didn't know
Oh, it's
that?
capicola. No, I didn't. I learned something new today. Also, a bizarre choice for your favorite food. I guess I get it, but like...
On one half, I'm Italian. On the other half, I just watched a video essay where they talked about gabagool and The Sopranos for 20 minutes, so...
Okay, fair enough.
It was in my
I'm
head,
gonna
it was
have to look
fresh.
that up.
Dude,
No,
I
fair enough.
destroy the shit out of some prosciutto. I know that's got capicola, but
Oh, I love prosciutto.
Still fantastic.
yeah. My main vice, and something that I potentially have spent too much money on, is those wrapped like it's like mozzarella with like prosciutto wrapped around them. They're like $7, but they're
Yeah.
so good.
Those things are
Oh,
good.
yeah. I used
free
to
cheese
run
for me,
around
though.
and I would go to the deli at the supermarket and I would just get one of the pre-wrapped pepperoni sticks that's like about 1.5 feet long, and I would just eat it like a meat snack, just like chomping on pepperoni at a party. My friends took to calling it the meat shillelagh because once you get enough drinks in you, you start smacking people with your pepperoni.
How long was that pepperoni, man?
1.5 feet long.
Jeez, that's good. Wow.
Enough to eat and still do violence.
Everything you could want out of a meal. All right, well, shall we get into some of these con questions?
Well, first, since obviously we have a guest here, Theron Sherman of Site 42, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for those in the audience who don't know who you are?
Hi there, I am Sherman, and I play Dr. Theron Sherman from Site 42 on YouTube, TikTok, and all the other social medias. I make SCP Foundation readings as well as shorts style memes and jokes and explainers about the SCP Foundation.
And what got you into doing SCP stuff?
Somewhere in 2015, I moved to California, and I was looking to get into voice acting, film, theater, all kinds of art stuff. And for voiceover specifically, I, in a previous job, had a microphone from when I was a wedding singer.
Mm-hmm.
And so to do voiceover auditions, I got an interface to attach that to my laptop, and I started reading SCPs as voice demos. And by God, please don't go back to the beginning of my YouTube channel because they are absolutely terrible. I leave them up just so people can be like, hey, I was this bad, you can be too, and get better. But I actually got a very good voiceover gig with an education company. They were a new company. I was a new voice artist. So I've been with them about 7 years now, teaching kids how to read. So that plan worked. But then, like a year after I did these demos, I found out people were watching the videos on YouTube for some god unknown reason. And so I was like, all right, well, I will try to make more and make them better now. And shout out to author Dr. Clef, who actually caught me on Tumblr and like gave me some good job, buddy. Here's some requests. Do good stuff. And so I just kind of stuck with it. Yossi Posey as well, very early fan into staff member of the channel and obviously wiki administrator. And I just kept at it for now 7, 8, 9, going on 10 years.
Wow, jeez, man. I just like, I'm not gonna lie, you said not to go back to the old stuff on your YouTube channel, and I immediately looked it up and started going through it. It is crazy to see you've been doing this for 9 years.
Oh, and those original videos, you watch the first ones, it's just so many breaths and wet noise sounds.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning, I wasn't even editing with headphones because I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh my gosh.
And my God, I learned everything I learned on the job. I am just grace of God that the audience and the people I've worked with have helped me along the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
that reminds me of some of our early content. Like it was bad, kind of starting out. Especially back when we had someone else editing the episodes, and like I would consistently get messages from one of our now co-hosts, Kai, being like, "Hey, in the episode, you guys go, yeah, we're gonna cut this out. You didn't cut it out." And I'd be like, "God damn it!"
No.
Or I think it's an old episode we did. It was a Thanksgiving episode where we read a Thanksgiving SCP that I don't actually think is on the wiki still. But whoever was going to edit that episode didn't edit out the beginning where we're like, it's like pre-episode starting. For whatever reason, that part wasn't edited out. So we're like, all right, do we have our drinks and stuff? And it's like, all right, is the bot working?
Oh, jeez.
Oh no, dude. Oh no. You hate to be a listener coming to the podcast for the first time and that's the first thing you hear. Oh, but you got to start somewhere. And
We gotta start
look at
somewhere.
you now. Like this is crazy, honestly.
The biggest thing that happened for me career-wise was the pandemic, because I got a lot of time off of my day job teaching ballroom dance because you can't do that in a plague.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
more of my previous eclectic experience working was I worked with specifically Metrocon, which we're about to talk about in a bit. But Metrocon is descended from the national rite of passage of Renaissance fairs. And they do combat theater shows and lane bits where the actors are in character. And so when it came to a pandemic, I've got nothing to do. I just kind of learned the language of TikTok by watching. And I started integrating my Renaissance fair experience of riffing and improv in character with other videos. And my God, did TikTok and the greater internet, now YouTube, very much appreciate that. And so that is where, before the pandemic, it took me like 5 years to get 9,000 YouTube subs. And then TikTok got to like 1 million within the first year and got to 3 million within the third year. And then YouTube slowly like picked up. It wasn't the same content, but it got up to like 75K. And as soon as I started taking my TikTok style videos to YouTube, a year later, we're at frickin' 845K. And it's like, Jesus Christ. The internet
I
is
saw
hungry
that.
for this bullshit.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember like when I was like still in the SCP space, I remember your channel was at like maybe 70K around when I stopped regularly doing stuff, and I went to look up your channel for this, and like I literally like I did a double take when I saw like, geez, man.
Yeah, so 70K, you caught us right about a year and 6 months ago. That would have been right before what YouTube did that was really beneficial is they introduced a much better payment process than TikTok ever had. For some behind-the-scenes baseball on revenue, let's say that, let's talk like fuzzy numbers because they get mad when you say exactly what you make. let's say that TikTok was making about $500 a month for 20 million views. YouTube pays 10 times that much.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. I've definitely heard TikTok has some monetization problems.
Oof. And so when when YouTube introduced their new platform, I'm like, let's start focusing over there more. Call it the Site42 Red Division. That way TikTok's algorithm wouldn't get mad every time we mention YouTube.
Smart.
But yeah, channel growth has been crazy. Monetization has really saved my ass with still trying to get ballroom dancing going post-pandemic. And so everything's coming up roses. It's been a really good year.
Oh, that's great, man. I'm not gonna lie, I have so many questions I want to ask, but like, I don't want to take up the whole thing with that. But man, I would definitely love
We
to pick
can-
your brain more about this sometime.
We can go into the main event of Metrocon, and if we want to have like the back end be more give and take, or if we want to like stop the recording and just do that personally, we can do that either way you guys want to run your show.
Yeah, sure. Maybe if we have some extra time at the end, we could do a little mini interview segment. That could be fun.
Yeah, we'll see how long it takes us to get through Metrocon. But yeah, let's get into it. So,
And by the way, one more thing as we're going into Metrocon, I've got to warn the audience. I worked with Metrocon for 6 years. 1 year as a dance coordinator and actor, my second year as a full-on actor and dance choreographer, and then years 3 through 6, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 years, I directed one of their shows. So whatever I say about Metrocon, I am not dodging the shill allegations. I've been gone from Florida for about 9 years, 10 years going on now. And just last year, I made it my like personal summer vacation to go to Metrocon, just to go see all of my friends and family in one place. So I'm not dodging shill allegations today. Just warning you, all of my responses are shill responses.
Right. Okay. Actually, it's kind of good to have your perspective in that case, though, because you can compare it to how previous years have gone.
yeah, considering that.
Also, I am not speaking as an employee of Metrocon. I've been gone for 10 years. All of my opinions are my own.
Because considering that this was our first year, it'll be good to get some perspective on how this year was with other years.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I guess we'll start with our first question, which is how is the venue, layout, etc. I'll start us off with that. I'd actually been to this convention center before, even though I hardly remember. I went to Tampa Comic-Con.
Woo, TCC!
Yeah, my oh god, when did I go? It was I think it was maybe 2018, I think. I know I had just I think I had just graduated high school, so probably like 2018, 2019. And I'd only really gone to the vendor area. I got a bunch of different autographs. I saw a lot of cool people. I met Nolan North, David Hayter, Cam Clark. I bet the voice of Squidward, which is cool. I have a signed handsome Squidward from him that's been above my door frame for the past 5 years.
Nice.
But on the venue itself, I liked it. It was smaller than I was expecting. I guess I was expecting it to be larger. But it was good. It was easy to navigate. It was basically 2 hallways in the upstairs. I really don't like convention center policies that don't allow you to have that allow you to bring outside food and drink, especially when it's 85 outside and feels like it's 100 and they're making you eat the food trucks that they contracted to be there outside, especially in cosplay. It's not great.
Yeah, and when you have to climb that many stairs to get back into the convention center and go all the way around the building.
Oh yeah, and then you have to go to security too.
Yeah,
because I believe this
blessing was that this year, I don't know what happened. Last year the humidity was just redonkulous all weekend. This year, honestly, was a relief for a guy whose cosplay is a lab coat. Whew.
Jeez, I can't even imagine. This is my first time going to Florida in the summer since I was like a child, and the humidity blew me away. I could not imagine it being worse than this. Oh,
I'm a
not, but we got
native.
lucky.
I'm a native Tampan, although we hate it when we call ourselves that. But like Philly D, like Moist Critical, I'm a Tampa native, and I've been gone for 10 years, and I go back, and I do not remember how I ever survived. When I used to live there, I used to wear nothing but jeans and a t-shirt, even in the summer. It's like, why am I wearing jeans in this? I can barely survive in shorts.
Oh yeah, I
Ah,
could not do jeans.
Ugh, yeah, I had jeans one day. It was a mistake.
Yeah, the first when we got there, like when we flew in, the first thing I did was go into the bathroom at the airport and switch into my shorts because I knew it was going to be
same,
awful.
same.
Yeah, I wish I had. I remember stepping out of that airport and feeling the wall of humidity. Ugh.
Yeah,
It was
that's
like
what I call
walking
the
into a
oven
sauna.
effect. When you fly into Florida and you first step outside, it feels like you've entered an oven, and then it like
It does.
relaxes after you've been there for like a day or two.
Yeah, jeez. Well, we've given our review of Florida. What's our what did you think of the venue? Sure. I
So
suppose you could use your map.
As a Metrocon veteran, what I'm talking about is how they've changed the use of the space since my day nearly a decade ago, because they've definitely rearranged what rooms they do. And so, honestly, they've given the space a lot of breathing room, which is convenient. It used to
Hmm.
be we only got like a part of the convention center at one point for some reason. And so they've really opened it up, and especially moving the way they did the vendor room versus the um like where they do the shows. They used to like split that space so it was so much smaller. But things have really spread out. The game room's a lot bigger than it used to be. And so there's a lot of like easy wandering, and also those big entry archways. The way they've got
Hmm.
security now at that like one spot, they've really narrowed it down so that people from the convention are the only people there, which is, if you're one of the people who wants to wander in without a badge, then it's not great for you. But also a lot of people who shouldn't have been there without a badge, and in a way that we don't want them there, can no longer get in. So it's there's pros and cons as always.
Yeah, it's important for sure.
What did you think of the venue, Sean?
Um, I thought it was okay. I found it a little confusing to be honest to navigate it, but I don't really think that's the con's fault. I think it was just the escalators just trimmed me up a bit. But I honestly I thought the hallways were pretty big, pretty nice, and nothing ever felt cramped, which is good. Besides that, I don't really have much to say about it besides what's already been said. I thought it was nice. One of the nicer ones I've been to, I would say. Yeah.
As a Florida convention veteran, I will throw out here that I do appreciate the layout of Metro as compared to the other major con in the area, which is MegaCon Orlando. I find
Hmm.
it a lot, maybe, I mean, it could be because I worked there for 6 years, but I find it a lot easier to navigate the L-shaped venue as opposed to MegaCon, which I feel has a lot more entrances and exits, and it's kind of rounder. So I never quite know where I am over there.
It is nice to have like a straight path you're going down instead of like a loop or of anything like that. Definitely agree there. A more linear route, I should say. Yeah, okay. If you stayed somewhere, how was it? Question number two.
So we stayed at what I would like to call Casa del Jake, Jake's house. Um, which overall, I like Jake's house a lot. Um, I see. I want to say I wish it had a basement, but I know it's in Florida. It's not going to have a basement. But if it had a basement, it would be bussin'. He's got a pretty nice house. His guest room is nice. The bed was nice. I didn't have to pay to stay there, so no complaints on that point. Although, if I had to make a complaint about Jake's house as a joke, what would I joke about?
I thought the landlord was kind of weird.
his mother.
No, I meant Jake himself, but that is definitely his mother now that I think about it. Jake's mother is a lovely woman. I didn't mean that. And I also don't mean that she's a lovely woman in a weird way.
Just that if she had a basement, she'd be more bussin'.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
agreed.
More water bottles and pop in the fridge would have been nice. I mean, I guess we could have pitched in for the water bottles, but like there was like 4 water bottles to start with, and we drank them at the beginning of the trip, and then there just wasn't any water bottles.
I simply expect better from a man when he gives us a place to stay for free. You know that?
Exactly.
That's just how I feel.
All right, I'll give you guys a little intel on Metro Convention hotels then. Traditionally, the official hotel of the convention is the Embassy Suites, which is directly across the street from the convention center, and it has a sky bridge from the hotel to the convention center, so you don't have to like cross traffic.
Oh,
and
that's nice.
they are that's where I stayed last year, and it's also where Metrocon staff traditionally stays, as well as most of the fans. So the convention is always very crowded, the hotel is always very crowded. Elevators are a constant issue because they have 4 elevators, but people are always going up and down, and it's a struggle, and people are in cosplay. And my complaint from last year is that the lobby's AC was a bit lacking. So you could get AC in your rooms, but it was a little toasty in the lobby with all those cosplayers and the elevators to boot. Now, it seemed a little better this year. Maybe they fixed it up. And also, I'm hearing tell from other hotels in the area, which I'll talk about in a minute, but apparently there have been cranes seen around the Embassy Suites. So it's possible, the rumor mill is that they might finally be doing a big renovation to it. And if that's the case, maybe it'll be better in future years.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be exciting.
Last year I stayed with them, and my cue to anybody who wants to stay at the Embassy is, and to any hotel from now on, is get on their membership apps as soon as you can. For Embassy, which I think is on Hilton Honors. Last year, I booked my hotel for Metrocon, and then they sent me an email that's like, coming up for your trip, you can get an upgrade to your room. And I'm like, upgrade? And it was a free upgrade. So I'm like, hell yeah, members privileges, here we go. And then I called them after I put in my upgrade to con artists, try to like ask them about more upgrades. And they ended up giving me a fucking top floor balcony suite overlooking the convention center for like a nominal fee. And like, I was just like, all right, I'm balling this year. This is my first year back. I'm bringing the champagne, balcony party. Let's go.
Oh my gosh,
they
you had
are
like the super villain view.
The Embassy is really easy to pull that off on, which I say because this year, because the lobby was so much hotness, I decided I was going to try their neighbor hotel, the JW Marriott. And the JW stands for just whoa much money. It is the luxury version of the Marriott Hotel, because in that little square, it's the convention center, and going clockwise, it's the Embassy, the JW Marriott, and the normal Marriott. So I decided to spring for the bougie hotel this year because I thought that I could pull the same thing I did on the Embassy with the upgrades. No, they're pickier. They are pickier about their membership policy. But even though it wasn't top floor balcony on all that, my room was still nicer than the Embassy. And all of the climate control in the rooms and stuff was better. The gym was better. If you have the extra funding to go to the JW, I suggest it, especially because my like crazy penthouse in the sky at the Embassy was still more expensive day by day than my regular room at the JW. So overall, I got kind of a deal at the JW just on the base rate that made it overall worth it. And it was a lot less crowded. Oh,
I bet.
one more amenity that you got to look at for both, because you're at a convention. If you're going to party, the Embassy Suites has what they call the happy hour, which I think it's from 5 to 6 each day, but where if you're staying at the hotel, you just get free well drinks for an hour, which is a dangerous prospect at a convention.
Yeah, seriously.
But hey, good luck. Drink as much as you can in an hour. Don't die. The JW's happy hour is you can get 2 drinks in that happy hour. So unlimited cheap drinks or 2. They're nice free drinks. They give you like a sampling of good whiskey or good tequila.
Okay,
it changes every day. But yeah, it's quality over quantity for the happy hours. Also, it's 2 drinks per room for the JW Marriott. So, like, if you have 4 people in a room at the Embassy, all of them are going to drink as much as they want. You're splitting 2 drinks per room at the Marriott side. So, choose what you want depending on your room size.
Makes sense.
This is my summer vacation. I was, in fact, partying, if you can't tell.
That's great, man. Jeez, I'm happy you gave this advice. I'm definitely going to be keeping this in mind for next time. Good to know these tricks.
Yeah,
Sounds
good
like
to
you have
know
a pretty nice place to stay.
if I don't know, we're not. I would assume for our future, for any Florida con, we're going to be able to stay with Jacob. But if I was ever down there and I couldn't stay, then I will keep that in mind. I generally have liked Marriott's, at least like, because I've been to a lot of cons that were held at Marriott's. We were at Holiday Matsuri last year in the Marriott World Center, which was fucking amazing as a venue. But I also was literally just at a con last week here that was held at a Marriott, and they're good. They're a good hotel chain, I guess.
The real trick of it that I realized early in my convention working career is that when you are at the convention and you can just like kind of walk to your hotel really easily and walk back and forth, it just makes it a lot easier to socialize with the people around. And so there is something to be missed by staying like way off site where you can't really comfortably get around. If the con's at a hotel, I always try to get in. And if the hotel's like, if there's a hotel right adjacent, it just makes your life so much easier, both like logistically as well as socially. And that's especially the social side, that's a really important part of the convention circuit for me, even at not my home convention, because you want to be able to get to your room, change costumes, maybe take a nap, and then get back to the party without it being an endeavor. And parking, oh my god.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree, especially like for going late night, because when you're not staying there and you're like an hour away, you have to think about like, oh, maybe I shouldn't hit the 2 a.m. panel because then we got to get up in the morning. But you don't really have to worry about that when you're at the con, and you can just go back to your room at the end. Especially for us, since we do panels, and cons love making us stay up to 3 a.m. and then scheduling us the next morning.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Ugh. What was we went to like Colossal Con, was it? And we had like a 2 a.m. panel, and I had a flight that left at 7 a.m.
No, that was Holiday Matsuri.
Yeah, Holiday Matsuri.
Oh,
that happened, and that was rough. Yeah, fun panel.
Ugh. Yeah, because we were not expecting, because Holmat was threefold. Every day went to the end, because I'm usually I'm not used to a con being in the middle of the week. Wednesday through Friday is a cursed con block. But I'm usually used to cons ending on Sunday at like 5, but no, Sunday ran till like 2 a.m. And then Sean, of course, decided to book his flight in the morning afterwards.
It was the cheapest option. If I had known we would have a panel at that time, I would not have booked that flight. This time, I was very careful to literally give myself a whole extra day, which is good because we all got sick. I needed it.
We all got sick.
Oh, well, yeah,
we just got a cold. We didn't get COVID.
Yeah, no, you had it way worse than us.
Hell worse. I last year I managed to get to Florida and back without getting sick at all. I thought I was bulletproof, and I was so wrong.
Oh, that is a shame, man. Was there like a lot of
I did
COVID
it to
going around?
myself. I did it to myself for two reasons. Number one, to answer your question, yes, Florida is in a particularly large COVID bloom right now.
Oof.
Florida is fucked COVID wise right now. They are bursting. And so that was one thing I didn't calculate on. And the second is that I usually, as an old man, typically keep a regular schedule. I even, for most of my trip, managed to go to the gym every morning to stay on routine using the gym
Impressive.
hotels. But my word, once it got to like the main event Metrocon, the first night I went to bed on time. The second night I went to bed at like 3 a.m. The third night I went to bed at 6:45 a.m. And I know that very specifically because the sun rose at 6:40. And I was like,
Oh
God
no.
damn it. Which is a pro and con for being able to socialize by staying at the local hotels, because your friends will be there and you will not stop talking because you're all dumbasses.
Oh yeah, I bet. Well, at least you're able to get over it eventually. But geez,
Made
that
it
is
out
rough.
alive.
Yeah. Oof.
All right.
Man, going to conventions, deadly affair.
Let's get moving on to our third question, which is any familiar faces do anything cool with friends? Well, obviously I went with Sean and our friend Jake and our friend Sam, who this was Sam's first anime con. And he seemed to like it. He was talking to us about wanting to go to other ones, so I'm glad I could get him on the convention train. I also haven't seen him because he's in the Air Force, and I believe the last time I saw him was I want to say like 2021 or 2022. It has been a minute since I saw Sam, but it was it was a good time seeing him again. I miss him a lot. We went to Disney World for a day. We went to Epcot and
Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios. We also went to the Tampa Aquarium. We also went to go check out a tabletop store, and I bought $100 worth of tabletop games. I believe I bought $100 worth of tabletop games at the con.
Hey.
I have a problem. We don't talk about that. We did some cool things we obviously played a lot of tabletop games outside of the con. We played some VR. We did some Jackbox. Yeah, and obviously we went to the con, so we did some cool things, and obviously that accounts for Sean too. Unless there's anything you want to specifically bring up, Sean.
No, you kind of hit everything. Though I will say, when we went to Hollywood Studios, we saw Galaxy's Edge, which is like their Star Wars kind of area. So cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like a huge theme park kind of person, but seeing like that kind of level of craftsmanship in a place like that was really neat. I was definitely not expecting something like that well made.
Galaxy's Edge was fucking everything I could have wanted and more. I did not realize it was going to be that cool. I thought, like, I was like, all right, this is going to be cool. But I got there, I was like, holy shit! Like,
I don't even like.
They do
Star
a great
Wars,
job of the design.
Cool.
Did you guys get to go into the cantina when you went?
Yes, we did get drinks at the cantina.
We did not have a good experience.
Excellent. Well, I mean, again, it's really the good. Design. Yeah, it's the decor pretty much.
I liked the drink that I had.
I also liked the drink that I had. I just wish the guy wouldn't have told me 3 times I'm not going to like it before letting me order it.
Yeah. No, the guy kept going like, "This is spicy, right? You want this? This is spicy." And I'm like, "What? Did you have like a bunch of British people come in here beforehand? I'm a Latino. I can handle my spice, and it wasn't even that spicy to begin with."
Like, I don't know if he was just trying to be friendly, but it was like he did the same thing for me. Like I got like an orange coffee drink. He's like, people don't like orange coffee drinks. You're not gonna like this. I'm like, just give me my drink, man. Like, how many times do I have to ask you? What were you about to say, Sherm?
Oh, I was just laughing because I'm white people, so I get that from everybody all the time.
I mean, I just recently went on like a study abroad trip to England, so I'm not gonna lie. I think that kind of made me start to expect that I could go up to a bar and ask them to spit in my cup, and they would say $5.99 instead of refusing or anything. But yeah, that was annoying.
I mean,
the
some
decor
people
there,
would,
though,
charge a lot more for that.
Yeah, that's very true, honestly. That might not be a good example.
Oh,
But
I guess I also want
yeah.
to bring up a little funny story that happened in regards to Sam and his drunken escapades
Oh
one
my
night.
gosh, yes.
Woo!
Okay, so I think this was 4th of July. They had started drinking. I don't drink. I abstain. And we had done like we did some Jackbox and we did some VR, and like it was like, all right, guys, we've got con tomorrow. Stop the drinking, and we're gonna go to bed and we're gonna get up in the morning. Um, and so we all go to bed. But Sam gets on Discord with his buddies and continues drinking. And right before I went to bed, um, I hear him out in the hallway go, "What are you doing?" to Sean. And Sean's like, "Bro, I'm trying to take a piss."
I was so fucking annoyed. Like, what do you mean? What am I doing? Go to sleep.
And then after this, because I had gone to bed afterwards, he wakes Jacob up on the couch and goes, "Dude, I'm going for a walk. I'll be back." And so Sam
Famous
goes.
last words.
Yeah,
Sam
seriously.
goes drunkenly wandering through this Florida suburb, speaking to security cameras, and then he calls Jake like an hour later and goes, "I'm lost. Where's your house? I don't know
Oh
where I
my
am."
gosh.
So
I can't believe Jake let him do that.
Jake gives him his address so he can Google Maps back home, and then like we wake up and Jake goes, "Who left their Denny's DoorDash out on the porch all night?" And Sam's like, "Oh shit, how much did I spend on DoorDash?" He spent $75 on DoorDash that he didn't get off of the porch. So that all went to waste.
That is the
Oh my
most
gosh.
Florida man evening I've ever heard in my life.
Seriously, where's he from? Like Minnesota or something?
Sam is from
Let's make it even
Michigan.
better.
I
Yeah,
went to high
dude.
school
Acclimating
with him.
quickly.
Yeah, he learned the culture. I'm not gonna lie. He got the whole experience. Oh my gosh, it was great to meet him. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed that a lot. He was fun to go to the con with.
What about you,
Oh.
Sherm? I'm sure you had plenty of familiar faces at this
Oh
con.
yeah, the I know everybody on staff. I came back last year for the first time and I was like, "Oh man, I missed everybody. I've been gone so long." And it was like I arrived and had never left. I still get friends and family passes to the convention. I walk in behind the scenes cuz I'm still treated like I'm a staff member and I get to see everybody and be like, "Oh, you're still here, hugs." And when everyone's running around like a chicken with their head cut off because it's a convention and they're working, I'm just like, "Man, is this what it's like to be on the patron side? It's so chill." I never understood.
Yeah, I love the feeling of having behind the scenes access to stuff like this and knowing people
And then
behind the curtain.
I got a shout out. I run around like the entire convention. I'm high-fiving and fist bumping everybody at each door. I'm checking in, like making sure I'm buying snacks for the registration team because they need their caffeine
Aw.
and their snacks to keep the ticket line going. But then this year was the second year that I've been to a convention since Site 42 blew up. And last year, my first year back, I got recognized for the first time from the internet by fans, which was insane to me. And so I, about 7 to 10 times, I got stopped in the hallway for pictures by Site 42 fans. And I was like, "Oh, this is dope. Hi, everybody. Love it." And so this year I like prepared and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some SCP badges and hand them out to people who recognize Dr. Sherman. It'll be a nice Easter egg hunt. And so I
Yeah,
went,
that's a
there
fun
was
idea.
one vendor in the vendor hall who had SCP badges. The only SCP merch at the con. And so I bought 10 of them because it was 10 last year. And I'm like, okay, it was 10 last year. I'll have 10 on hand. I had to revisit that vendor 7 times.
Oh my gosh.
I ended up with a total of, I think it was 63 people. And I've got still
63.
comments who were like, oh man, I saw you, but I felt uncomfortable coming up to you at a convention. And I was like, no, you should have. It kept happening, and it was so cool. So nice to meet everybody.
You know, I definitely was shocked. I couldn't believe it because obviously we're a Midwest group. So when I'm out in Florida, I'm not expecting to meet anybody that I know. And Jake was just like, "Is that Sherman?" And I was like, "There's no fucking way. What do you mean, Sherm is at Metrocon?"
You guys were the first ones. It was so dope. You kicked off the trip, man.
Oh my gosh. And can you imagine the surprise when I heard that Sherman was there? And I had my pants down and was sitting on the toilet and viciously taking a horrible, horrible shit.
He's gone. He's missing the entire experience.
I was like, literally, I don't want to describe it, but you have no idea how fast I was doing the things I was doing in there after I got that text. Oh my gosh.
The other, you guys are one of the first. You guys are the first and also one of the more notable people who know who I was meetups, because you guys are obviously podcasters in the space. You guys are like colleagues as much. The other most notable one who's just like a fan is, shout out, I forget your name, buddy, but you were at the JW Marriott bar. And this guy is standing up. I'm sitting at the bar, and he looks at my phone. And my phone lock screen is a SCP logo, but the middle of it is the Metrocon gear. It is a combination design because I credit Metrocon for the years I worked there, as well as the SCP community, for being kind of like what I've built into. So Metro and SCP are like my home here. And so this is my phone lock screen, and this guy just sees an SCP logo and he's like, I'm sorry, is that an SCP logo? And I look at him and I'm like, yes, it is. You're a fan of SCP. And he looks at my face for a minute, and I watch the wave of emotions go through his face. And he recognizes who I am. Oh my God, the whole spiel about YouTube and TikTok and all that, and it's all good. But then he drops the real bomb, which is, what are you here for in Tampa? Oh, I'm here for an anime convention across the street. What convention? And I'm just like floored. I grab the bar. I'm like, you're not here for the convention?
That's crazy.
This guy came to Tampa to go on a cruise from the port of Tampa and just happened upon his favorite SCP YouTuber at this random hotel bar for no reason. What are the fucking odds?
Wow. You must have made that guy's whole trip. Jeez.
That guy,
that's awesome.
That guy's trip was insane.
That's how I feel like anytime I'm at a con event where I'm at a con venue when there's other regular people things going on. Like at the one I was just at, there was a wedding, and then there was also like a kids sports team thing going on. And I always love that interplay of we'll be at Colossal Con and some dude will come up and be like, "Bro, what's going on here?"
At least 2 years at MegaCon in Orlando, they scheduled the convention the same week as a major cheerleaders convention competition. And so you'd be sitting here with all these anime cosplayers and also several teams of high school cheerleaders competing. And it was always like, that's weird interplay, but okay.
Yeah,
but
a weird mix.
Nothing will overcome the absolute disaster that was my first year at Metrocon, 2008, when the Tampa Convention Center overbooked the same weekend Metrocon and the Red Bull Flugtag. In case you're not familiar, the Red Bull Flugtag is an event where, if you're familiar with how Boy Scouts will do soapbox derby, they will build little cars and then race them down a ramp to see whose little wooden car goes fastest. The Flugtag is full-sized, like human-bearing soapbox derby, except you have to put wings on your vehicle because the ramp is going to go down and up, and you're supposed to create something that flies.
Oh, that's
something
so cool.
that rolls down a hill, goes back up, and flies. And because of this, they launch it into a waterway so that when you land, you don't die. And so the Flugtag was outdoors at the convention center, launching into the river outside the convention center. But it was all of these anime and video game cosplayers and all of these drunk, Red Bull hopped up Flugtagers. And security was a nightmare that year. There were so many altercations from drunk people who did not know what was going on the inside of the convention center. It was amazing if you weren't having to deal with it.
It would be kind of crazy to get like really drunk at an event like this and start seeing a bunch of people in cosplay. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would think I'm having hallucinations. I'm not gonna lie.
What a trip.
Seriously. That's awesome. It's nowhere near as fun as that, but when I was at it must have been ColossalCon, first time, we went to get like food at a place nearby the convention center, and some guy in there kept like looking at me and my friend who was dressed up as Spider-Gwen, and he went up to us and was like, "Are you guys
that was
like,
OhioCon.
movie actors?" That was OhioCon? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
why do I think everything was ColossalCon? Have I gone to ColossalCon? Did that happen?
Yes, you went to ColossalCon for like one day.
Okay, I was starting to think I made that up. Yeah, that was at OhioCon. But yeah, talking to people outside of convention centers who don't know what's going on is honestly always my favorite part. Oh, all right, what's next?
Vendors Artist Alley.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Sherm? Start us off.
Well, back in my day, in the early 2000s, it was a lot smaller. Where registration was, used to be where Artist Alley was, on that like overhang. And so Artist Alley used to be a lot smaller, and then the vendors room was about half of what it was today. So they have greatly expanded the space. In fact, I think main events, the stage and the shows, used to be in what was the vendors hall, but don't quote me on that. Long story short, they have combined the two, so vendors are on one side and artists are on the other, and then they've just massively expanded the space. It's still crowded as all get out because there's so many people at the convention every year now. But also the grade of artists and vendors has really moved up. And so much bigger, better space, and much better quality of vending. So I am 10 out of 10, good vendors Artist Alley.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I bet that improvement must be crazy to see. Personally, I was pretty happy with it too. I thought there was definitely a lot to see and a lot to explore. I didn't really find anything I was interested in buying personally, but I think that might be more to my tastes than anything else. There were a lot of really great artists there. I saw some really cool styles, also a few like familiar vendors.
I thought overall it was a good space. I guess I feel a little spoiled for Holmat because Holmat's Artist Alley was like out of this world, and I was kind of hoping to see some of the same artists back, and I didn't see a lot of overlap, which is obviously not a Metrocon fault, but I really definitely had to like fight to find things that like I wanted. I ended up getting there was this vendor that was selling like these like little mimic chests that had dice on the inside of it, and there was like it has opposable tongue, so you can have it pick up the dice and pose it. And I also there was a vendor selling like glass like artwork, and I got one that's it's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but they're samurai. So you've got like 6 samurai and like the like Mastodon themed, White Tiger themed, Dragon themed, T-Rex themed, all that. Pretty cool. We also stopped by the Unstable Games vendors because we have been obsessed with games made by Unstable Games.
Yeah, seriously.
Especially Here to Slay and Tic Tac KO. really fun games.
Yeah, man, I've never felt such a vitriolic hatred for my friends than during a game of Tic Tac KO.
um Also, I like the stage. I got to watch the medieval combat demonstration, which was pretty cool. I got to catch it on Sunday while these guys were walking through the hall.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really like I said, I try not to be too harsh where I go like, oh, the vendor hall sucked because I didn't find anything specific to me. But I thought it was good. I liked how it was laid out. I can't complain. It was nice and open. I wasn't like bumping into people. Although I do want to mention this one two interactions I specifically had in a vendor hall, which I guess can go into the attendees, but I guess I'll just talk about them now. I ran into this girl who was she was cosplaying some kind of like tiger thing, but she was really impressed by my costume and the because I was the Red Ranger from Power Ranger Samurai that day. And I specifically remember this interaction because not only was she just so impressed, but like, it was time to take a picture. So like, okay, so let me get out my sword. And the sword I have is like a toy from the show where when you pull the bottom of it, it like flips up and extend out, and I did that, and she just like put her hands to her mouth. It just gasped. So that was cool. I always like it when people are impressed by my cosplays. And then another one, a guy stopped me for like a picture, and he was like, bro, did you notice that your lens is cracked? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I fix it actually. And he goes, oh, let me give you my card. And my thought was like, oh yeah, I'm like a craftsman. I can fix your helmet. But no, he was like an amateur music producer. And I look at the card and I can't remember the first part of his YouTube title, but it's like something Autism Productions. And I was like, what kind of music producer are you?
It was a bizarre, like, what a bizarre thing to receive.
And I had Sean look up the YouTube channel afterwards, and I think that guy just made like Five Nights at Freddy's plushie videos or something.
Yeah, and he's been doing it for like 6 years.
Which, like, to each their own, but it was definitely like
You gotta respect the craft, honestly.
that interaction was not going in any direction that I imagined it. But yeah, that was
what a surprise.
That was vendors. Up next
Special quick shout out to my two MVP vendors for the weekend. On the vendor side, their name seems to be on my credit card receipts. Elmo Collectibles Palm, but they're the ones I had to buy several SCP badges from over the weekend, so shout out to them for having them at all. They are the only SCP vendors or having of SCP content vendors on the floor, so Elmo Collectibles, my favorite. And then on the artist side, Charmed Esoterica are some friends of mine who I did not expect to see because Steph used to work at Metrocon with me, and then they went to like Washington or something. I don't know. But I looked at their art as I was walking through the artist vendors, and I was like, oh, that art is really good. I love that. And then I looked up and we locked eyes and we went, oh my fuck, you're here. And so I love them.
Oh, that's awesome.
I choreographed their wedding dance for their wedding way back in the day. So Charmed Esoterica, also dope art. Look out for them. We're going to do some SCP stuff in the future.
Oh, exciting. I will definitely be on the lookout for that. And I also want to briefly shout out a vendor that I thought was really cool. There were these people who are doing like this steampunk kind of jewelry stuff. It was like all handcrafted, like metal jewelry. Looked really cool.
They were awesome.
It was just so unique. Yeah, I don't think it's my first time seeing them, but it's my first time actually going and taking a closer look and buying something. I kind of recently, while I was in England, I picked up this. I picked up a bit of more of a punk grungy style, and I've been missing like actually good, high quality, unique, like standout jewelry for it. And they were like the perfect people to help me solve that problem. I brought a bracelet for them for like $80, and it is so nice. I love it. I look at it every single time I wake up, and I'm so happy I got it there.
Hey.
Absolutely, really cool vendors.
Yeah, I will shout out
Yeah.
because I'm just pulling up my PayPal banking statement and seeing who I
That's what
bought
I
from.
did.
Yeah,
I should
Vivian
look up what those
K
guys' names are.
Creations. I bought $40 from you. I don't know what that was. That was probably the Mimic chest.
Probably.
Probably. Uh, Something called the Honey Pot Emporium for $20. Whatever I got from you, I'm sure it was awesome. Oh, and and also, the game store by Jake's house, Jumbrowski Games, that I spent $99 at. You guys robbed me of $100 every time in Florida, so good on you guys. All right,
Sherm, you don't remember what the name of those steampunk vendors are, do you?
I don't, unfortunately.
Well, that's too bad. All right, well, not a big deal.
Yeah,
They're cool though, if you could find them.
The Metrocon does have a attending vendors list.
Yes, they do.
Oh, I'll look that up while we're talking.
I was just trying to compare it to my credit card statement to see if I could find out who Elmo Collectibles was, but I could not find their vendor name, so I'm sorry to them.
Ah, unfortunate. Well, what's next on our list then? How are the gamer rooms? You want to explain why we call them that?
I feel like I've told that story way too many times on the podcast.
But I guess doesn't know.
But yeah, all right. So we always refer to the arcade and the tabletop room, especially the arcade, as the gamer room, because our first year going to Colossal, we're walking ColossalCon, we're walking through the hallway of the Kalahari, and there's this like guy and his wife like walking by us, and she goes, "Honey, can we just go back to the room? I'm tired." And he goes, "No, I want to go to the gamer room." And like they pass by us. I overhear this. I fall to the floor laughing, and a Colossal staff member came over and was like, Are you all okay? Are you looking for someplace?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Give me a minute.
Yeah, I'm looking for the gamer room.
But the Metrocon gamer rooms. I thought the arcade was fine. It was a little crowded. That's my main problem with convention arcade rooms, is that they get really crowded, and I'm like, well, I don't want to wait in line for this. I'll go someplace else. But I thought their selection was standard. Me and Sean got to play some Taiko.
Yeah, nothing really stood out.
My arcade weakness, I tell this story once in a while, is that I will before I was a ballroom dance instructor, I was literally the worst dancer in my show choir. Dragged out back before a competition and taught how to like step and snap in rhythm. Bad hand-eye coordination. And the thing that started my journey to getting better at being coordinated was that I became, over my high school senior year summer, the expert Dance Dance Revolution player. Because one of my fellow choir students had home pads, and she schooled me so hard that I bought my own to get her back. And so I got really, really good at DDR one summer, which led to me being able to be a dance teacher later. It's a weird transition. But there were DDR pads in the arcade, and there wasn't a line when I was in there. And I made the foolish decision in the Florida heat, air conditioned be damned, I didn't take off my lab coat when I tried to do DDR. And that was a poor decision. I nailed the song.
That's good.
I was
That's
also
what matters,
just,
at least.
I did not lose. I was just very wet afterwards.
And then that just leaves the tabletop room. I liked the tabletop setup. They had some miniature war game demos. Like they had a Warhammer 10th edition setup that Jake and Sean did. Sean had to BRB, so I guess he could talk about it when he got back.
I'm back.
You're back.
What am I talking about?
I was just about the tabletop room and their miniature war game setup. You and Jake played a game of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition.
Yeah, it was my first time ever playing Warhammer. Really, anything like that? It was pretty interesting. I don't know if it's something I would regularly want to do, but it was very complicated. We only did a very basic, like, playthrough of it, but I definitely found it interesting, and I could 100% see how like introducing the more complicated aspects of it could make for a really interesting experience with a lot of depth. I would definitely like to try it in its more in-depth form sometime. I enjoyed it. It was pretty cool to experience it for the first time.
It is you can do Warhammer on tabletop sim. That is
Yeah, I
possible.
heard.
They also have smaller games if you would like something like smaller but still like you like Warhammer but you'd like to play something a little bit more smaller scale. They do have like games that are like 6 to 8 miniatures per person. But
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
I liked the space. I liked their selection of games. Although I am running into this situation where I'm amassing so many tabletop games to play with friends that like we roll up to the like the table and we're like, and I'm like, dude, I have all the stuff that we want to play in my backpack. But
Yeah.
it's still good to what do you call it? Have the space to play card games, because like usually at cons the tabletop room is like our base of operations, because obviously it's
Yeah.
a place to sit, it's air conditioned, it's usually in one spot. If we lose each other we can just go back to the tabletop room, and usually like two of us are in there playing a game or something like that. So I always want cons to have a tabletop room, and especially a tabletop room where you can rent out games. Tabletop rooms where you can't rent out games are cringe.
Agreed. Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
It's just a room of
what is
tables.
the point of that?
It's like it's literally just a room of tables. Like, what are we doing here? All right. How much have we covered this topic? Are we good to move on? I don't know. I was gone for too long.
Yeah, I got nothing else on game rooms. I don't hang out at game rooms at cons at all. It's not my vibe. I'm too busy
Yeah, it's
running
not really my
around.
place either. I like to try interesting stuff if they have anything like unique, just because I like to try as much that kind of stuff as I have. But here, there was it was mostly fighting games. That's not really my kind of thing.
That was
Yeah,
stuff.
so staff. I didn't have any problems with staff. I didn't have any interactions with staff, but the interactions I had were good.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job.
The staff, obviously, they are my fam, so I got nothing but nice things to say. But what I can say objectively is that they have, over not just the 10 years I've been gone, but just last year to this year, they have upped their professionalism in a way that I very much respect. And I see the work they're doing, both the security staff, the registration staff. They handled things very well. Just from last year to this year, things took a very big spike up. And the con seemed very well run and in order for almost all of it. I don't think I saw anything negative, to be honest.
That's great. Really good to hear. I think they did a really good job, honestly.
And in fact, special shout out, the first day behind the scenes knowledge, the app on their iPads that runs tickets apparently went out.
Oof.
And when you're starting the con on that kind of foot, you would worry about how things are going to go. But, you go to a convention, you see the reg line, it's long, people are waiting, stuff like that. And even day one, when I was going to bring the caffeine and snacks, and I was like, hey, is this a good time to come by and say hi to people? Because I know you guys are also always so busy. They said, no, actually, it's pretty open. You can come on over. And I was like, oh, really? And so I went up and there wasn't really a line. And I was confused because I was worried, like, is turnout down this year? Why is it so barren? And I've been sitting like through the whole convention. They always announce the final turnout numbers at closing ceremonies. And I was just like, I didn't see any lines at Reg, guys. Did you guys were you guys that efficient, or were you just had low turnout after last year was like record breaking? But this year was even more crowded. It is their record turnout. They just knocked it out of the park. Just crazy. I think last year was a record with like 14,500. And then this year was like 16,500.
Mm-hmm.
16
So
and a half. Jeez.
And so hot damn, they just they really rocked it. I thought it was quiet because they were doing such a good job, but it was apparently very hectic.
I bet.
You just wouldn't know it from how well they were running it.
Yeah, good for them. They did a great job.
Panels.
Okay.
Panels,
Cool. Yeah,
yes.
panels.
So I feel like this is unfortunately where I have to complain most about this con, because I feel like a lot of the panels that I went to were pretty mid. Um, there was this one cryptid panel that we went to that was done by the Clockwork Carousel, and unfortunately, so it was a cryptid panel, and according to the description, an SPC panel. So I was expecting to see some shark punching center stuff.
Oh boy.
But no, they didn't end up talking about any SCP stuff. It was basically just like they would say a name of a cryptid and be like, "This is the Loveland Frogman." Next slide. Like they didn't go into any of the cryptids. They were just like, "Oh yeah, this is this cryptid. This is what it is." Moving on. So I didn't get much out of it. It wasn't very informative, and as like this, me and the people in this group are really big into cryptids. We did an SCP that was a cryptid. He's kind of our baby, the Chugwater Frogman 7975, based off the Loveland Frogman, obviously, because we're Midwesterners. It's an Ohio cryptid. So I wasn't really big on that. Another thing that I didn't like during the panel, they brought up the fact of like the bit of lore about fairies, about them stealing your names, which, as I learned from Pepper's Ghost Twitter, is SCP-4000 lore that like leached out into the greater like fairy
I saw
like
that
fandom.
thread. I saw that thread. I think I saw someone refute that. That Pepper's
Really?
Ghost, like, yeah, Pepper's Ghost was like, oh, I didn't realize that. I think, gotta check the thread, but I think there is some runoff that it might not be fully 4,000.
Yeah,
but,
because I tried to find that thread because I remember reading it, and I did see some people talking about like D&D kind of had something like that. It was definitely the first time, like my experience of it was 4,000. But I at least thought it would be interesting to bring up, especially because you said that there was going to be SCP content in the description.
Which there wasn't.
Yeah, which there was not.
how
There was also
peculiar.
another uh like another like featured panelist called Entertainment Stew that did a few panels. They did like it was like a philosophy of power and Dragon Ball panel, which I thought was fun, but I thought was going to go into more like philosophy and like applying different philosophies to like the different characters and how they use them in Dragon Ball. That's not really what the panel was. It was kind of just like power scaling but with philosophy. But it was still fun, but not what I was expecting. And then they did the anthropology of One Piece and the science of Full Metal Alchemist, which I thought were fine panels, but being that they're primarily like like elementary school to middle school teachers without like a big like a more like I guess like academic background, they didn't go as in depth with the like the panel that like I would have liked. Obviously nothing on them, but I thought the panels were fine. I just wish that they could have gone a little bit more in depth from the panels that they had saw from them. And also during the anthropology of One Piece panel, they said something as a biologist that made me like squirm in my chair because they were like, yeah, in the world of One Piece, they're a bit more futuristic than us. They have the ability to see the entire genome and all the instructions and be able to edit it and change organisms. And I was like, we can do that in real life. What do you mean? We've been able to do that since like we mapped the human genome in 2006.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Yeah, master's degree in biology moment. Although I will shout out the panel that we saw that was run by the woman who does the Metrocon manga library, which was called it was like, what am I
Metrocon, the
reading?
Carolina Manga Library server. Oh, that's the name of their Discord server. Ignore the fact I said the word server in that. The Carolina Manga Library. That is not what the name of the panel was, which I realize is now what you were saying. So I will shut up.
Yeah, well, Carolina Manga Library lady did, because I don't remember her name. She did a panel about like weird but good manga that she had been reading that she got into her library. And I know Sean definitely got a lot of recommendations from it that
Yeah, I
he
don't know,
ended up
like
liking.
everyone that came up. Snowball Earth was personally my favorite of what she recommended, though Hooves of Death is also pretty good. Just kind of like, the story is a little meh. But unicorns and zombie apocalypse is such a great concept that I can't be that upset about it.
Also, I have to shout out the manga library for being a better quiet room than the actual quiet room.
Yeah, seriously.
Because like they have like really nice chairs in like the manga library, and obviously it's quiet because everybody's reading. But then like we stopped by the actual quiet room, and it just kind of felt like the broom closet that like you shove Harry Potter into, like under your stairs.
Yeah.
It was just like hard classroom chairs, and it was quiet. I'll give it that, but it didn't really seem like comfortable enough for me to just like, kick
Want to
back and like
relax in.
relax.
Yeah.
I can imagine, yeah, because I didn't check out the quiet room this year, but I can't imagine it was very different from last year, which is cafeteria chairs and some tables.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It might be nice if it were a little more comfortable chairs and place to relax for a minute. That might be nice.
Yeah, because like our buddy Sam was hungover, obviously from the the Denny's escapades, and also sick. So we were like, yeah, go take a nap in the quiet room, and we'll come back for you. And he was just like, yeah, I couldn't relax in there. I had to just go take a walk.
Yeah.
Which, going back, another reason for staying close to the hotel or the convention. Just so I'm saying.
True. Very true. Being like, how far away were we? Like an hour drive?
45 minutes, I think.
Yeah, made it rough.
But
that's what we get. That's the price we pay for saving that money.
Just like I'm not much of a gamer room guy, I'm also not much of a panel guy because this is part of my bias. Back in the day, I worked with fellow. You know how Metrocon has the fight show and the masquerade and these like highly choreographed shows. Those people, those staff members, will also go run their own panels. And so back when I was working with Metrocon, a group of them called themselves the Con Artists. Yeah.
Love that.
And they would run show panels that were like these. I was the father/mother of the protagonist of Ouran High School Host Club. And we did a Ouran show panel, or a musical where like it was like a jukebox musical with different anime characters. And I started in Florida what was called the Crazy Random Happenstance, which did Dr. Horrible Sing-Along blog as a shadow cast, first at Metrocon and then at different conventions around the state.
I saw Crazy Random Happenstance at Holiday Matsuri. They were doing like a final I believe it was that they were doing a Final Fantasy burlesque show, I believe.
Yeah, so if it was after 2014, 2015, it's when I handed off the cast because I was moving to California. But
it was last year. So yeah, that was them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they've definitely shifted from the shadow casting more into like the burlesque and stuff like that, which, they're doing the best they can. I hope they're making good art and stuff like that. My point is simply that once I got in with the Con Artist and I started the Crazy Random Happenstance, a lot of panels were just like people just kind of talking about things they don't really know enough about to talk about, just kind of lost their appeal to me. So I don't go to a lot of panels anymore.
Yeah, totally fair. I get that.
But I have ADHD and I need constant stimulation. Otherwise, I'm not going to work.
Oh, I feel that. It is tough for me to sit through panels sometimes, even when I really care about, even when I'm really interested. Like, I'll watch a lot of the panels I see. I'm like, if this was a video essay, I would love to listen to this while I'm doing something else. But sitting in a room and staring at them for an hour is just tough. No matter how good it is.
Yeah, I guess like because like obviously I don't have that problem. I've always been a big I've been a big fan of panels because obviously there's a lot of panels, a lot of different types of panels, I should say. But we ran into the situation this time, which I feel like is one of the dampers of panels, where the panelist does not know enough about um, the topic, or I feel like doesn't have like a more like in depth like knowledge of it for it to be like interesting to me, because obviously like I'm a science guy. I've got a master's degree in like biology, and I run science panels, so I'm kind of expecting like a little bit more than baseline, if you feel me, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Right. Yeah, I definitely get that. Um, all I have to add to this is really that I thought the education stew panels we saw are really cool, and I really like that what they're trying to do. I think it's pretty neat. They've got maybe they haven't exactly perfected the panel formula yet, but I think that whole organization, I'm not exactly sure what they are. That whole organization, very neat. Their whole journey, their mission, and everything.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
way
Don't
they
get me wrong.
teach.
Entertainment stew. I like what they're doing. I enjoyed their video games and education panel that we saw. Whole Matt. Keep up the good work. Same thing with Clockwork Carousel. I'm sure their like resin workshops and stuff like that are great, and they're really good at that. But that cryptid panel was not it.
Yeah, hate to say it. They clearly though, whatever they're doing with the resin stuff is working, considering how much they had.
uh,
How many of those they had?
I will say, as a critique of Metrocon, because as somebody who's been who is a featured panelist at another set of conventions, I feel like Metrocon gave their featured panelists way too many panels. I think Entertainment Stew had like 11 panels, and obviously Clockwork Carousel had their own room. And I felt like, because I was like,
Yeah,
why is there like no room for any fan panels? And like, that's the reason. I think they need to cut that number down so we can get more fan panels. Because another complaint I had about this con is that there were so many of the same thing, so many in character panels, so many trivia panels. Like we got an email for our fanfic panel, and they were like, oh, we wanted more diversity, so we decided to put your fanfic panel on the schedule. But there was already a fan fiction panel. It was an hour before ours, not in the same room, thankfully. And I'm glad that people still showed up, and some people who went to that first fanfic panel went to ours. But I was like, we submitted other things, like,
yeah, it's weird. They really needed a bigger variety as far as the panels
yeah.
go. I barely saw anything I really wanted to see, which isn't usually what happens when I go to cons. I usually have like multiple things on my list, and I can never make them all.
Yeah, shout out to Whole Matt, our
Yeah,
goat.
seriously.
Well, I guess we can also shift the panels into a panel that Sherm went to, that we hosted, which
The
was our
one
fanfic
panel I
panel.
went to.
Yes.
Oh, what an honor!
Yeah, I have to say, being able to summon a celebrity up on stage is not a power I've ever been gifted in my life,
Yeah, it was pretty
but
cool.
I liked that, and I thought you did a really good job. For the
Yeah, me
audience, we
too.
ran Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends save Independence Day, because we 4th of July defied it. We also did Succulent Love, the Kirby X Dante fanfiction, which was also Independence Day themed, and then we did Palpatine Orders McRib.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
Sherm, give your thoughts on our panel, since this is the first time I think we've had someone on the show who's just who was an audience member, so they can give us some critique or feedback.
as I said, I am not a huge panel guy because there's not a lot that can keep my attention. But you guys had your stories, you had your performers. I like a show, and you put on a show that entertained me. So I was happy. And then I also got to play along, which was fun for me as well, putting on a little show.
Yeah, you were probably one of the most animated people that we had like ever, like in my whole like 5 years of running that panel.
There was
Yeah, you did a great job.
I just did a video for famousbirthdays.com. They added me in like the last year or so for my
Nice,
TikTok
congrats.
audience. And they asked me to do a video where I answer like random questions, and they're going to post the video along with like my announcement this year or something. And one of the questions, they give you like 30 questions, and they're like, answer 15 of these. And one of them was, describe yourself in 4 words. And in answer to your comments on my performance at your panel, the 4 words I used to describe me in that video were, ugh, another theater kid.
Yeah, that
Because,
seems pretty
yes,
accurate.
that's exactly what you're going to get if you put me in front of any stage or microphone. It's just as much as I can give you. Arms everywhere. Voice, no volume control.
It's a fellow theater kid. I definitely get it, and I definitely recognized it. It was absolutely perfect for our fan fiction panel. I'm not gonna lie. I love that panel. I felt like everything was great. I think everybody who participated did a great job.
Yeah,
Sounds
shout
like
out to
the
the
audience was
girls who
having a good
roasted
time.
Sean.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so Sean goes like at the end is like, "Yo, watch the podcast. I'm really funny.
That's a
I'm
joke.
really
I'm like,
funny
oh, I'm
on it."
funny on this podcast.
Yeah, and then these girls like turn to each other and go, "Only on the podcast."
Oh my gosh, dude. I didn't hear it at all. I just like we went to the tabletop game room after, and like who said it? Must have been you, Sergio. You were like giggling. You're like, did
Yeah.
you hear what those girls said about you? I'm like, well, what the fuck? I did so good. I did literally so well that whole panel.
No, I
Got
think you.
him.
I think you did good. You did good, but it was really funny. I
It
also want
was
to shout
hilarious.
out the Marble Hornets cosplayer who went that you talked to afterwards, Sherm, because like that SCP MTF squad like came up to us like an hour or two after the panel. It was right before the fire show, and they were like, "We have a directive." For Mr. Sherman, or not Mr. Sherman, Director Sherman, we're looking for Slender Man, and they pull out this Slender drawing that says "Sussy Wussy" on it and has an Among Us in the corner.
Yeah, no,
honestly,
the
horrifying.
cosplayer, the Marble Hornets one, was one of the people who recognized Dr. Sherman. And so they give me this paper, and then later on I'm talking to my soldier corps out there, and they're just like, "Do you have any orders for us?" And I'm just like, "I have this. Go hunt this." And they're like, "Yes, sir, Convention Quest, go."
Oh, that's fun. I love that.
Also, I cannot emphasize, if you can ever put on your Foundation garb and walk down a hallway flanked by 5 mobile task force members, it is a power trip. It feels good. You should try it.
Oh, I bet. That's so cool that you got to do that, man.
Do you guys know Call Sign Scout from TikTok?
I do not.
Can't say I'm familiar.
Call Sign Scout is Lieutenant Tori, and it was her crew that was there. I think there were some other ones too, but the crew of 5 I have in my TikTok and YouTube videos are Lieutenant Tori, a fellow content creator, and it was so freaking funny. We were at a show. I'm trying my desperate need to figure out what show it was, but it was one of the night shows, and I walk in. I only cosplayed as myself all weekend. That way I would give like fans the opportunity to find me. And one of the mobile task force guys comes up to me and says, "Oh, my friend is here. They know you." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. Who's your friend?" "Call Sign Scout." And I was like, "Call Sign Scout is here?" And we found each other.
Awesome.
We're just like doing the Spider-Man meme, pointing at each other. We're like, "Oh my god, it's you!" Ah! Was so dope. I got to like have that moment of another SCP content creator besides you guys, which was also that. There's a really good weekend. I was very excited.
That's so cool, man. That was like their MTF squadron. Like that was their whole that was their group.
Yeah, they have like, if you look at Call Sign Scout on TikTok, they have like 3 to 5 people in their videos all the time. So they just have a crew that they showed up to the convention with. It was awesome.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Also, if you go to Site42's Twitter, there's one photo from the convention, or 2 photos, that we took as a group that are so important. One of them is now my Twitter banner because it's like me and the gang up against the wall, just like ready for action when the time comes. And it's like lounging before the action starts. But then down in my media, there is one picture, and it's we found a Waldo cosplayer. And so we did a total party kill with me and the mobile task force down and Waldo just standing in the middle of us.
Oh, I saw that, I think. Pretty sure I saw that. That's
SCP
great.
Waldo, and the lighting is perfect. There's like this silhouette of darkness behind him. Ah, the things we got to do, it was so good.
That's great. I was looking through the photos that they posted on Facebook, I want to say, and all of the stuff with like the SCP squadron getting defeated by different foes was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw them executing Makima in the middle of the vendor hall.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, very cool stuff.
Oh yeah. Also, because this was technically a panel. Well, I guess like two things. I guess weren't kind of panels, kind of events. Shout out to Dreamland Maid Cafe. Always a good time. I love being able to torture Sean by telling them that it was his birthday. So
Which
he
it
had.
was. Also,
Yes,
fuck you.
Yes. Also, the fire show that we got to go to, we honestly should have gotten in line a little bit earlier, but I still had a great time. It's been a while since I've actually seen like anything like that.
Dude, when they took out the whip that was on fire, I was like,
oh,
I was scared.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, so cool. I was like terrified. Like how do they use that without like setting everything on fire? Like this cannot go well. And then it did, because obviously they're very well trained and practiced at this. But oh my gosh, I was terrified. It was so cool.
The
They were
word,
incredible.
the how do they do that is practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of practice. And not accidentally flinging fire into the audience, which would be terrible, but also a little funny.
A little bit.
For anyone who ever like some behind the scenes knowledge of the fire show as well as the other shows involved, Metrocon posts their casting for the masquerade, the fight show, and the fire show in January of each year. And they hold auditions. And then once you get cast as your role, that's when you should start putting your cosplay together. Because coming up in like, I think it's March or April, rehearsals start. And they go through training. Everyone who comes on gets trained in the different art forms that they're going to be dealing with. People do this show. Some people have been doing the show for 15 to 20 years. And so when you've been doing it seasonally for that long, you get every year's training. You get better and better. Some of my first year stagehands back when I was a director are now lead fights in the fight show. They are now main events in the fire show. They used to hold the fire show workshops in my front yard in my house in Florida.
Damn.
Back when it was like even lower rent, just like it's grown so much, it's become more professional, but also like everyone trains so hard. And if you're a Tampa native,
fire in the yard.
Oh yeah. Well, honestly, TLDR, we called it Bro House. It was a burnt out halfway house that was a 6-bedroom, 3-bath that me and a bunch of guys rented. And it was a terrible place to live. We were asshole idiot people, but we survived somehow. Lovely. Good days, good times. We only put a couple holes in the wall being drunk, and I should have won that Smash Brothers tournament. I was robbed. I got DDD in the last round. Who gets DDD at the last round random?
Oh, that sucks. Oh, you were playing on random too.
Oh yeah, you gotta play random, otherwise you're not winning the tournament. That's the rules, man.
That's the best way to play it, honestly.
All right, what do we got next? All right, Chuds. Any negative experiences you had? Any less than savory encounters? Obviously, I talked about the autism productions guy, which obviously it's just it was fine. Like guy was nice, not really a problem. We didn't really have any panel hecklers. We only had one panel. Nobody was heckling. I think everybody was a good sport. Although
those 2 girls.
Yeah, except for those 2 girls heckling Sean. Maybe you should be funnier in real life, Sean.
Oh gosh. Never gonna
But
forget that.
when we went to the LARP dungeon, that was another thing. There was a LARP company who set up like a little dungeon crawl in one of the ballrooms. Which quick review, it was fun. I've never done anything like that. I would definitely like to do it. Obviously, I don't live in Florida, so I can't go to them specifically to do like their like weekend like LARPing thing. But it was a lot of fun. I liked it. I would like to do it again. My only issue was because of the tight confined corridors and the fact that our party was like 24 people.
Yeah, it was way
It
too
was
many.
very easy to surround and defeat the enemies because obviously, like, what's one guy going to do with 6 people like corner him? And that basically is how most combat encounters went, where it was like 3 or 4 people in the front, or like 6 people surrounding a person and then just grinding them down. But the room was very dark, and so like we walk in there and like, oh, it's dark, and this girl, she had this light up skirt, so she lit up her skirt so she could read like her like character sheet, and this guy goes, oh, good thinking, and he starts using her skirt light to read his paper, and he starts like going down, and her friend immediately like got in between them and was just like, you don't go any lower, which, to the guy's credit, I got the feeling that he just was like not like, it was not computing in his head that this isn't something I should be doing. But it was still it was a little sus and it was a little funny to witness.
Poor move.
Whoopsie.
What a weird situation to be in.
Fanon PSA: don't use a woman's skirt light to without their consent to read your paper.
Yeah, I've had that situation happen to me a few times too. Gotta be careful. Those light up skirts. A woman all have.
Other than that, I didn't really have any negative experiences with anybody. Everybody was pretty nice.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. What about you, Sherm? Anything?
I got nothing. It was a 100% clear, crystal good weekend. I got no bad interactions.
That's good, man. That's good.
This is
what we want to hear on this section.
This wasn't a bad interaction because we didn't meet the guy, but on Thursday outside the convention center, there was a guy in a Cybertruck flying a thin blue line flag, and I wanted to throw him into the Tampa Bay if I encountered him.
Did the religious guys with the big sign show up this year? I didn't see them.
I didn't see him either.
I didn't see
No.
anything like that.
Also, shout out to the guy outside our like the small theater panel room who had like a little boat parked outside that had a pride flag and a U.S. flag on it. I figured the U.S. flag was to ward off the people who would have been mad about there being a pride flag on the boat.
That was cool to see. Love it.
I think that wraps up on Chuds. We didn't really encounter any. And then top tier attendees you met. Obviously, Sherm.
Bless.
The SCP MTF squad was a highlight.
Definitely.
Other than that, I guess I have to shout out our wonderful readers who came up to our panel.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was nobody who in particular stood out to me because we didn't interact with a lot of like convention goers, especially because we only had the one panel.
Yeah, what about you, Sherm?
Well, for me, I got my Metrocon family. When you do a convention, when you do a fair show, a festival show, you end up with a family of hundreds of people who would take a bullet for you. And I love every goddamn one of them, and they're all amazing in whether they're doing security or reg or fighting with swords and flame whips. Everyone's crazy, and I love them. Shout out to all of the people who recognize Dr. Sherman in the wild. 63 of you, and people who didn't even approach me beyond that. That is crazy, and it was so cool getting selfies with you all and talking about SCP stuff. And then, last but not least, I had a random encounter with one of the industry celebrities, Jason Liebrecht, who's voiced so many anime things that I can't even list it. But he was just staying in the JW Marriott, and I ran into him at the downstairs bar like 3 times, and we had nice talks about family. And I ran him into the bar, man. He looked at my SCP code and he said, "Hey, what is that symbol?" And I said, "You don't know SCP? Slam!"
Man's doing God's work. Amen. That's really cool. That's an awesome encounter.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just
that
talked about family, and we talked about ballroom dancing and stuff like that, and just cool guy.
Yeah, cool stuff.
all right, and I think that that wraps things up. So, conclusion, final thoughts. How would you improve the con? Would you go again? Overall, I say this con was all right. I think I give it a 7.5. Improvements for the con. I would like to see more panel variety. Um, like I said, I think they need to cut down on the amount of either make more panel rooms or cut down on the amount of panels that are reserved for um the what do you call it?
Same people over and over again.
The featured panelists.
Yeah.
Because like at Colossal Con, they only give us like 7 to 9 hours. Like when we were at the Entertainment Stew, when I heard they had like 11 to 12 hours of paneling, and obviously Clockwork Carousel had their own room, which I get because they were the the resin and the artist people. They kind of needed to have that whole room for the thing. But like I felt like there wasn't really a lot of room for fan panels at this con, and I kind of either would like to see more panel rooms open, or cut down on the amount of panels that the featured panelists can do to let us us small folk
I actually
do
wonder.
panels.
A question for you guys, since you guys went through the process from the panelist end. I know that I heard through the grapevine that for vendors, at least, vendors were like getting a lottery for if they got invited because of the space requirements versus how many people were applying. Was that similar to
Really?
what you guys experienced on the panelist side?
No. So I us not getting too many panels might have just been also on because I haven't seen a con do this, but I guess because most cons don't do first come first serve. Like we look at your things like first. But Metrocon did that, and I did get our submissions in a little late. But my experience was we just submitted a panel, and then we initially didn't get onto the schedule, and then they I guess somebody canceled their panel, so we got on. But I wasn't happy that we didn't get there was no like declined email. Like there was no waitlist email, because usually they send you an email like, "Oh, we've waitlisted your panels. We liked your panels. We're waitlisting them in case like somebody got." We didn't get that. We didn't get any like declined emails. I had to go and ask a staff member like, "Hey, what's the status of our panel applications?" Because they also threw up the schedule before they'd finished doing it. Um,
Which is
I
bizarre.
feel like the announcement of how the panels were going was a little mishandled. I also didn't like that because the way they decided to do panel reimbursements is that because usually how cons do it is like you get reimbursed depending on how many hours of panels you did. But at Metro, it was you had to do four or 5 hours of panels to get reimbursed. But given the way things was, I was like, well, I don't think anybody got reimbursed for obviously someone who watched the episode can correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't seem like anybody besides the featured panel groups got 4 to 5 panels to even get that reimbursement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a
Cool,
little tough.
interesting. Yeah, I know that
definitely like to
they're.
see some more variety
I know they
next year.
definitely changed systems in the last couple of years, because one of my besties used to be the panel coordinator, and they recently retired and handed it off. So they might be making some adjustments here and there, but I'll make
Maybe
excuses
some
for them
growing
all day. So
pains.
don't mind me.
Yeah, I have faith that it'll be a little bit better next time. It sounds like they had some. It sounds like some people were like they did take people's criticism that there wasn't enough variety at the beginning, which is why they gave us our panel. So that gives me faith that they are listening to people's criticisms, and we might see a little bit more variety next time.
I would also say that uh they need to invest in more microphones, because I've never been to a con where the room didn't have microphones and I had to rent microphones with my badge. Like because like usually you
I
go
still
to a
have to
con
spot.
and there's just microphones in the panel room, but like we got there and it was just like, oh, like we need microphones. Like, oh yeah, I'll go get those, but you need to give me your badge first. And I'm like, why are don't they have the microphone? like what the panel before me didn't have microphones. You gotta need microphones, at least for me, because if I try to project my voice, I won't be able to speak the next day. My
I do
voice.
know that they used to just preload microphones in the rooms, so I wonder what policy changed for that.
I could imagine that people might have been stealing microphones, to be honest.
I've never heard of
Be-
that happening. Maybe, but
I don't think you would hear about it, would you? Because the people who are doing it aren't going to brag about it, and the cons probably don't want to talk about it, so they don't spread around.
I mean,
that it can happen.
I'm friends with the tech team at Colossal Con. They would have told me if there was some kind of microphone thief.
I guess maybe.
Or I feel like I would have
mean-
heard an announcement at a con where it was like, due to the theft of our microphones, we're not going to be just leaving them for you guys.
No, there could be some other situation. People might break them or something like that as well.
Yeah, I could
Misuse.
imagine that.
A lot of people don't know how to use microphones, and so you give them a mic, and they're just kind of like using it wrong, putting it down, putting it next to X, Y, and Z.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I work as a tech director. Not work. I'm a tech director for like my theater's my college's theater, and I was in high school too. And man, it is so annoying to try and get people to use microphones correctly. I was a tech director for a talent show once where someone really wanted to drop the mic dramatically, and I was like, "No, you cannot do
No,
that."
you will not.
And
You
they
will
did.
not do that.
And they did. They didn't do it at all during rehearsal. They're like, "Okay, I'm not going to do that." And then the day of the show, they did it, and I swear I wanted to go on stage and strangle them in front of the whole audience.
Something I've learned from the tech team at Colossal is that a lot of people are just tech illiterate. Like I was like, we came in one year, it's like, it was like, oh, do you need help? Like, nope, I know how to plug an HDMI computer. Like I said I know how to plug the HDMI into my laptop, and they like got on their knees. They were like, oh my god, like somebody who knows. Or like, is it, you know how to work the audio interface? Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Turn
Hallelujah.
microphone on. Turn volume switch until it's the volume that I want. I remember it was at Colossal North, I think. I saw a panel that was being run on a Chromebook through the person's gallery. The gallery was the slideshow he was using.
No.
And he didn't bring anything to make it easy to hook up his laptop, so the tech team had to figure out how to get his Chromebook set up. The panel was a disaster. That was a part of it. But speaking of panels, I did want to shout out the one banger panel that I did go to at this con, which was the public health violations in anime. I guess it was in media, but also anime. Very good panel. It reminded me a lot of the OSHA panel. It was very scary. It was just like me and Jake's OSHA panel. Like they had all of our bits. Like they had the same kind of like format, and also they had the same kind of like group dynamic that me and Jake had, which is always scary when you encounter somebody who like has your vibe.
Alternate universe, so you think you can Fanon.
We literally, when we were at NebCon, we met a group that was like so you think you can fan him, but like middle-aged. Like they had like a dude with a beard, a short black guy, a guy who was balding. Like it was like I'm sitting there and I'm like, guys, it's us. It's like us from the future.
Oh my gosh, there's a whole multiverse. Where did they get out from? This is a problem. You need to get that MTF squad in here.
Yeah, but circling back around to improvements for the con. So I mentioned microphones, panel variety. Like I said, I think the quiet room could do for some more comfy chairs. Manga library, no complaints. I feel like they had a good selection. I think Sean was in there more than I was.
I enjoyed it a lot. It was very nice. They had a pretty good selection. It was a lot of popular stuff, but there were a few things in there that were a little bit more, niche and interesting. It was honestly really nice to have a place to go and just sit down and read some stuff I've been wanting to read.
Metrocon should look into booking Wild Bill's root beer. I think all cons need Wild Bill's root beer, if I'm being honest.
Agreed.
I think that's it. Yeah, like I said, it was all right. I wish the panels could have been better, but I think Metrocon probably has some of the best main events I've ever seen at a con. It really did feel like I was getting in line for something grand. Vendor artist alley. I think the artist alley could be improved by selling more things that I want to buy. um, but if it could be bigger and have more things in it, then that's always a plus. Um, also, I really, again, I wish Metrocon would let you bring the food truck food inside of the building, and I also think that the Metrocon concession food could be a little bit better,
Yeah, I agree with that.
because it's
The
like
concession food
either
can be disappointing.
because it's like either I go outside for like similarly priced food that's better, but I get to roast to death in my spandex, or I can not roast to death in my spandex and eat 5 out of 10 chicken fingers.
Yeah, a little rough there. You got anything? You got anything, Sherm? I almost called you Jerma because your name is slightly similar.
Sherma.
Gosh.
Oh no!
Crazy alternate
Oh,
universe
no.
where you have Jerma on our podcast to talk about Metrocon. You got anything?
Uh, End of the day, I think my opinions on Metrocon are 2 rose-tinted glasses from my time there, so I'm just going to look
Yeah, fair
forward to
enough.
seeing it and you guys back in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. I do hope we get to make it to it again next summer. I absolutely had a great time with it this time around.
Yeah, and it's moved a little later into the month next year.
Interesting.
Yeah, wild having 4th of July con this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I
that
got
was
extremely lucky. Because I was at the JW, I had a east-west exposure, and my hotel windows were to the, trying to do the mathematics now, east. And so from my hotel on like the 16th floor, I had the perfect overlook for some of the fireworks that were coming off from the river. So it was just like starting the con with a bang.
Oh, that's awesome. How lucky.
Vibes.
Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
also, I can give a negative shout out to the guy who was flying a Confederate flag on 4th of July.
Oh,
Oh.
Lord.
I hope you step on many Legos and choke on your own spit. What
I
the
was
fuck?
so disappointed. On I-75 in Tampa, for years, there was this massive Confederate flag. Just like this guy has private property next to the highway and just lifts this like massive pole, massive Confederate flag. And for years, this was just like an eyesore. And then it finally like disappeared. We all assumed the guy died and his family took it down. But I go back to Florida this year and the fucking flag is back.
I wonder
What
if it's
the hell?
I wonder if it's the same flag that I saw like while we were driving to Metrocon.
Yeah, I-75. Probably.
Probably, yeah. I don't remember which highway we were. Probably we saw the same flag.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
I-75 Confederate flag is a known landmark of Tampa, and I can't believe it's back. Fuck.
Especially like, dude, take that down on 4th of July, dude. You lost. Okay? Get
Yeah,
over it.
seriously. Oh, what are you doing, man? That's disappointing.
Haters and losers, the lot of them.
Yeah, I didn't think that I think that they didn't lose hard enough. But let's see here. Yeah, Sean, did you have what were your concluding thoughts on Metrocon? Anything you would improve?
I mean, honestly, I kind of agree with everything you said. We talked about it while we were at the con, and I think we our opinions line up pretty well. Um, yeah, I don't know. A lot of it was mostly just the panel variety would be my main critique, but I also thought that I don't know. I've personally felt underwhelmed with the vendors hall and artist alley, but honestly, I can't really say. I don't think I can fault Metrocon for that. I think that's just kind of how the cookie crumbled. I think that was more of a me thing than anything. Otherwise, I don't know if I really have any other criticism. I felt overall, compared to the very few other con experiences I've had, which is like maybe four or five. This is probably it's pretty mid for me, but I definitely do want to go again next year. I did have a very fun time, especially hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, it was. I would say I'd probably rank it like in the middle. You know, I kept going like I like so far whole mat is my favorite Florida con, and I don't like comparing large, like, not similar sized cons, because obviously like Whole Mat was huge and they're moving into a even larger venue. But like the whole time I was just like, man, like vendor artist at Whole Mat was really just like draining my wallet. But I will say Artist Alley and vendor did have a lot of variety, a lot of good variety, even though some of it was not to my particular tastes.
Yeah.
Because I, like I said, I don't like judging them on like, well, I didn't find anything for me, so it sucked. No, it was it was a good setup. You know, good on Metro. Hopefully next year, there either will be expanded or maybe there'll be some more things that I would be personally, you know, more interested in buying.
Yeah, and before I forget, I found the name of the steampunk vendors. It was Steampunk Garage. Check them out on Etsy. They got some really
Hey!
cool stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at their shop later and desperately trying not to spend money on anything else, honestly.
Oh, this is another thing that I think more cons need. So obviously, like in the tabletop room, the company that in there is like they sell games. But cons need more vendors that sell tabletop games. Because I remember I walked in the store. There was a store before we had gone to the con, because we were in Tampa for the aquarium. We were looking if there was any tabletop game stores, and there was a store called Oblivion Games, and I saw that Oblivion Games had a booth at Metrocon, but they were only selling like Magic and Pokemon cards, and I'm like, "Where's your board games? Like, come on, like,
Oh,
Give
yeah,
me the good
seriously.
stuff.
like when I say like card, like I mean like board and like card games that aren't like your Pokemon, like not your trading card games, but like your like, you know, game
Like
games like Cards
standalone
Against
card
Humanity,
games.
Super Fight, Exploding Kittens, like games that use cards and not like TCGs.
I feel like they would sell too at a place like that, to be honest. But
I mean,
I don't know.
look at
Disappointing.
like fucking Unstable Games was popping off. They were the one big like vendor that was selling them.
Yeah, their whole stall was like cleared out.
You know, they were out of Here to Slay. Like if we didn't get Here to Slay at the tabletop store by Jake's house, we wouldn't have gotten to play it while we were at the con.
Yeah, great game by the way. Really love that one.
I also feel like I haven't seen a good wallet vendor in a while.
Very particular, but I do get what you're talking about.
I'm not in need of a new wallet. I do feel like my wallet might be entering the end of its lifespan, so I would like another wallet at some point. And a wallet vendor would be a nice thing, to see at a con.
Hmm.
Especially because my wallet
Yeah,
is from a convention, so
it's a cool place to get a wallet, to be honest. But yeah, any closing thoughts, Sherm? I almost
I
said
have
Sherma
no
this
thoughts
time.
left.
Wow.
Thoughts gone, head empty.
Mine too, especially since I almost just called you Sherma this time. Um, interestingly enough, I don't even know when the last time I watched a Sherma video was. Well, is there anything else we do during these, Sergio? I don't know. It's my first time doing a con recap. That's not true. I did another one like 3 days ago. This is my second time doing a con recap, and I still don't know what I'm doing.
No, this is basically where we wrap things up. Any concluding thoughts that we
So
have?
we've hit the 2-hour mark. So your final question to answer is: do we want to end here, or do we want to go into some inside baseball industry podcaster talk?
Oh, I do want to ask questions, but I don't know if I have the brain space left to do it. Sadly.
Maybe we could let's do 3 questions. Let's ask Sherm 3 things and you can ask us 3 things. How does that sound? That's how
I
we'll
like
wrap
it.
this up. I guess my first question for Sherm would be is there anything you're currently working on right now that you would like to talk about or tease?
Yeah, any big projects?
So right now, I can say openly that today we dropped the first of an upgraded audio only podcast on the Site 42 Red Division, which is our YouTube channel. My dear editor, Synthetic Alien, has put together in Blender a nice backdrop with visualization and the SCP document scrolling so that the audio only has something to look at. We took some inspiration from the Volgan, obviously, And we also took a little aesthetic inspiration from Nick Nocturne of Nightmind. Shout out to my bros. But I think it looks pretty. It gets the job done. And so we'll still have the audio only on Spotify. But the audio onlys on YouTube will have something to look at, which I hope will be a little entertaining.
This
Beyond
is
that,
your
things
American Gothic video.
Yes, it is. That's the first one.
Wow, exciting.
And then secret stuff that I can only tease at. The live action SCP adaptations. We're not going to be doing a full one soon, but we are going to start making Site 42 Studios is going to be taking baby steps in the next year. I've got some compatriots, some actors, some production houses, very indie, no one with a big name, although we have talked about them a little bit today, that we'll be collaborating with on future SCP live action productions. So keep an eye on that in the next year, because I'm very excited to make some of my ideas reality.
Wow, exciting. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see where that goes. So cool to hear. I always love to hear when like really cool SCP live action stuff is going on.
I have been hyping everybody else's projects for so long. I will continue to do so, but it is about goddamn time I get to make my own.
Yeah, I get that. Well then, do we want to go back and forth here, or
Yeah, we can go back and forth.
what you got for us, Sherm?
I think my question for you guys is going to be, what is you guys do your podcast and you do your convention shows. What is the overall future trajectory for SYTYCF?
Well, the overall trajectory, I mean, I guess the sorry, I'm coughing. Still fighting off that cold. Is to kind of start getting more into the convention space. We would like to be booked by more cons, because obviously right now we're all paying like out of pocket to go to these cons as both like vacation and fun, and also to do the panels and advertise the podcast. But it would be our hope to start being like like featured panelist guests, and getting our rooms paid for and stuff like that. That's kind of where like the goal of like the podcast, of like where like I see it going and what I want to do with it. We're very close to almost being guests at the convention I was mentioning, Colossal Con. They have a couple Colossal Cons throughout the state, and we're not state, I say country, and we're kind of I said we're trying to get like guest stuff with them so they can pay for our flights and our rooms and stuff like that, because then we could just go to all the Colossal Cons that we want, just take the time off work or school, and go, no problem. So that's kind of where I see So You Think You Can Fanon going, just more shows, more cons. Yeah, that's where I want to go with it.
Yeah,
Can
agreed.
Can I make a small, looking at your social media, suggestion from my perspective that might help you achieve that goal?
Sure.
Let's hear it.
I think you guys need to start filming your panels. I think
that'd be a good idea.
You gotta film them, and you gotta have put them on this YouTube channel you got here.
I've had people ask me if they could see recordings of the panels I've been in before, actually, so that'd be pretty nice. Is there any reason we don't do that, Sergio?
Mostly it's because some cons don't allow you to film the panels, especially if they're 18 plus. So we
definitely that.
Yeah.
Now, for my experience, at least, the 18 pluses usually tend to be like earlier we were talking about the burlesque shows. You should not film those without the consent of the performers, which is why they just don't let you film them. But
Absolutely.
It would be worth it to talk to the convention to see if it's something you can do. Because, I mean, hell, even if you get half your performances up, on-camera work like this is going to be a big boon to your goals.
Yeah, we can see if we can try to like record like the safer work ones, but I know specifically like at Colossal Con they don't want you filming the like any 18 plus content, because obviously we all have lives. We don't necessarily need a recording of us reading sultry Kirby Dante fanfiction on the internet for everybody to look at. But no, I definitely agree. Maybe like when we go to like a smaller one, I can see if I can set something up to record like kaiju biology or something like that.
Yeah, we could definitely talk about that. Honestly, I would really like to have a recording of one of the bad fan fiction panel readings if we can get one, or at least one where I'm doing the narration, because I want to share that with people who don't go to anime conventions. But something that we should definitely talk about. Good suggestion, thank you.
Happy to help where I can.
Yeah, I just joined this show like, what was it, last winter, and then I went to like Britain for 5 months. So it's like I pretty much just joined, basically like just at the beginning of this summer, as far as my actually like being heavily involved. So I'm still getting used to the way that we do things around here too, which is why you might ask a question and my response might be good question. What is the answer to that question, Sergio? But yeah, next question. I actually do have something for you I'm interested in asking. This may simply show my lack of knowledge, because I've been out of the SCP fandom for a while now. As a heavy participant, at least I've still been enjoying it as a fan. But I wanted to ask, like, what is the scale of your stuff, Sherm? Like, do you have a whole production company kind of thing going now, or what scale are you operating at, and what scale do you want to operate at?
So, Site 42 Studios, right now, I am speaking to you from the inside of my Whisper Room branded voice booth, which mostly is paid for by my side hustle voice acting. So I get to use it for Site 42, but it's not paid for by Site 42. Then I've got a gaming laptop that I got from a sponsorship deal with an app that wanted me to do live streams related to the SCP Foundation. The app was called Get Vocal, and they wanted to be a combination of Zoom and YouTube, where you could do like a YouTube stream, but with 4 people's videos piped in. And it didn't go very far, but I made enough off the sponsorship deal to buy a nice enough laptop to do live streaming. So I've got my decent voice acting setup. I'm working off a Shure SM7B podcasting mic now, the standard of the industry of podcasting.
Oh yeah.
I've got the gamer laptop, and then outside of my room here, there is Charles, our wonderful audio editor. He emailed me just wanting to get into the SCP podcasting scene, and I was like, well, you editing my audio is a lot faster than me having to do it. I can cover more ground this way. And I approached Synthetic Alien to be my video editor, because as much as I took TV production in high school and learned how to edit video a little bit, I could never get the grips of a video editing app on my computer. So if I just let him do it, then we've got a 3-man team running this podcast / thing. And then the majority of our workflow and success comes from the shorts, which I just film in the TikTok app because it's got the green screen and it's got everything easy to do. So it's a pretty low rent production overall. But
yeah,
the
still,
goal,
that's pretty nice though.
Yeah, and if take the wins where you can get them. If we can do all this with as little as we're scraping by on, the goals for this next year, besides the working with other production houses on live action stuff, which I can then farm out to their resources since I don't have many. My next move is to get a desktop double hard drive situation so I can do gaming streams, get into SCP Doctor Plays, SCP games, or SCP or other horror games as an SCP researcher. And that'll help me push our content into the streaming space a little bit, get the donos going, continue to build the snowballs, same way as Markiplier and MatPat do with GT Live. And then we keep that snowball going until we have enough to build the I'm following the triangle of Markiplier as a role model for like going from gaming to the crazy Markiplier in space kind of stuff where it's very artistic, the Iron Lung feature film. I'm following Matt Pat's example for the more organized theater kid builds a business with a staff of like 10 to 20 people. And then Corridor Crew for their minus the AI stuff. Corridor Crew for all the film and effects stuff they work on. And that triangle of role models, I think, is going to build Site 42 into a SCP indie film development house. We'll have a staff, we'll have a stable of actors and tech crew, and be able to build films of our own that way.
That's so exciting. Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to watch that happen, man. If anyone can do it, I'm pretty sure it's you, given what we've seen of you already.
It took 5 years of drilling away at the mines to get nowhere. It took one lucky strike of gold to get a big rocket launch. But all the knowledge I built in the past is what's helping the future. And so you just keep digging away. It's like the meme. You keep working with your pickaxe and you don't turn around. You just keep doing it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, that's great. I'm super excited to see where that goes.
And now for you guys, you're trying to build up a panel empire. I know your fanfic shows. I know you got some other things in the roster. What is the dream panel? What is the show that if you had all the resources, all of the cast you need, all the permissions from the convention, what is the panel?
Oh, that's a good question. Sergio, what is it?
That is a good question. I know that like one thing that I've always wanted was to like be able to run like either obviously we have the fan fiction read, but we also have a panel called WTF is this, the weird world of the internet, where we show off weird, crazy, wacky internet things. We do a little bit of a stand-up routine using insane, I don't know if you know the Wikipedia page, not Wikipedia page, Twitter account, Depths of Wikipedia, but I took a bunch of the screen caps from Depths of Wikipedia and we kind of run it as like a stand-up kind of bit. I would love to do a panel like that on like a main event stage, especially like with big TVs and speakers, especially because
so cool.
there are some messed up videos that I just want to show on like an 80-inch screen with like a surround sound
evil
system.
Person. I know exactly what you're talking about. You are a villain. Oh my gosh. Does Sherm know about this?
I do not know this one.
He doesn't know any of the videos that are in that panel, but one that we like to show that's not like NSFW is there's a guy on YouTube called LA Beast who does like eating challenges, and he has a video where he sticks his hand into hot ice. And he unscrews the top of it, he goes, "Have a good day," and he sticks his hand into it and unleashes like the most impassioned scream you've ever heard in your life. If I could just show that with a sound system on an 80-inch screen, my life would be made. But other than like showing our panels like a big main event stage, or at least like 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 events room 1 with the big screens, if I say like a big budget like panel to run,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, kind of like all of the panels we got are kind of very like small comedy focused things or education focused. It's hard to imagine anything that would be like, we don't really do anything that involves a heavy amount of acting or like any kind of thing that you would call like a show you might see on the theater stage. So it's kind of hard to think of something that would be super big.
I would say, because our co-host Kai does a panel about bug fighting. If we could actually like get some beetles and like run like a bug fighting thing, I think that would be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe if we could run like an actual like fanfic theater of our shows, like get like either us or some actors in cosplay to do like Dante X Kirby and Palpatine orders McRib and Spider-Man and all that.
I think a good inspo for you guys going into this like grander, especially because you guys kind of have a comedy show vibe to most of your work. There are videos of them online. They're old Metrocon shows. They're called the Metrocon Star Party and the Metrocon Whose Line Is It Anime?
Ooh, that's a fun
in the vein of Whose Line Is It Anyway, but anime themed. And just for a little bit of inspo, this is back in like 2010 to 12 to 14 era of Metrocon. A lot of the cast who ran those shows back then have now graduated into the fight shows, the Masquerade, and especially what they call Metro Night Live. Studio Ghibli Abridged is what they did this year. But a lot of comedy skits, really quick jokes, costumes, making fun of the low budget they have because it's a convention. You could really farm the vibes and then kind of use that as a jumping off point for what you guys are working on, I believe.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. You said Star Party was the name?
Yeah, Star Party.
Okay, I found a little best of video. I'll definitely be checking that out. Thank you for the rec.
Nice. Star Party,
It's good to have some
Whose
inspiration
Line
for that
Is It
stuff.
Anime?
Whose Line Is It Anime? I can't forget that one. It's a pretty clever title. All right, cool stuff. If I were to
final
answer that
round.
question, real quick, let me throw something
Yeah.
in. If I were to answer the question, if we had an infinite amount of resources, I think it'd be cool if we did kaiju biology, but instead of just talking about the biology of kaiju, we make a kaiju on the panel stage, and then we do a follow-up panel where we release it in New York City and watch what happens. So that'd be pretty cool. I think I would do a big lizard, but not like Godzilla. I don't really have anything to add to that, to be honest. That's kind of it.
So what I'm imagining,
I said that expecting that something else would come to my mind, and it just didn't.
You know how when you go to Disney parks for like test track and they let you build your own car while you're like waiting in line, and then you can race those cars before you get on the actual before you get in the actual ride.
Mhm.
I'm imagining you guys with like computers and like you've got your big screen in the center, and one of you makes like a giant monster rat, and then the other one makes like a frog kaiju, and then you like program them in, and like it's like Spore. They just like fight in the city on the main screen when you're done.
Oh, that'd be so cool. That's actually okay. That's my actual answer. That's like almost feasible. That'd be really neat.
Also, shout out to Kaiju Big Battle at Metrocon, which is a wrestling show with kaiju. I don't know if you guys caught that.
That's cool.
We did not know.
Yeah,
Oh
they
my
wear
gosh, I
they
never
wear
noticed
kaiju
that.
costumes, and they put up a whole wrestling ring.
Oh, that's so fun.
Kaiju Big Battle. I know I think they don't just do Metrocon, so if you can catch them around, it's a pretty funny show.
I'll definitely be keeping my eye out.
There was a panel at Colossal Con North that I think is like the vibe of like the ultimate panel that I would want to run. It was called Watch 2B Eat an Entire Rotisserie Chicken. And
oh my gosh, yes.
And basically, like, so like you want like this had a line like wrapped around the whole con. Like there was like 200 300 people in this room. They did not give a shit about the fire code. And like obviously there's like the gang up there, like their Fanon crew. They've got like a buff girl 2B up there, and they start like calling 2B cosplayers up from the attendance. And then like, you know that moment of SpongeBob where like the big dude busts through the wall, and then they're like, the real contender is strapped to this guy. Like their like fat overweight friend comes running in through the door, and they're like, the real contender is here. And then they like start making him like a bunch of cursed foods to eat, and then eventually he starts eating the rotisserie chicken. But while he's doing that, they're like doing like a comedy show, and then they're doing like a blindfolded Rock'em Sock'em robot like over in the corner, and then like the buff 2B that I mentioned is doing like a push-up contest with some buff dude who was in the audience, and then a news crew showed up, like an actual like local news crew came to film the panel. Like it was insane. And that's the kind of vibes that I want of just
This
like
is
some
fever
dumb
dream
thing like that. Yeah.
That is actually the dream. We should do something like that. I bet we could make something like that work.
Like
I mean, I suggest you're going to need a cast of like 10 to 15 to 20 people. You need costuming. You need a schedule of events. Yeah, that's you got a nice little festival panel going on there.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man.
I
I
had a
think I
fu-
know enough people to do that, probably.
I had a funny idea for an absurd panel that was called like "So You Think You Can Fanon Does Their Taxes," and the idea would be that we pretend to do our taxes, and then we just like we'll call out like random like insane nonsense while we're like filming out the forms, and then we can have like something else like going on like while we're doing that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Oh, I'd love that. We should you should do like kaiju biology or something, and like for the first 10 minutes it's normal, but then that stuff starts happening like during it, and we never recover. I would love to watch people leave the room.
If you
uh,
were to animate, get someone like to do a real death battle of like two guys kaijus, and then your first 5 minutes, 10 minutes is like them programming their preferred kaiju and explaining them, and then like 50 minutes of just things coming in and messing things up and getting crazy, and it finally culminates in the last 5 minutes getting to watch the death battle happen.
that could be really cool. That's a fun idea. If we ever get the a higher production budget, that would be pretty neat to do. Actually, we could also have like I could also imagine something like that being like instead of even a death battle for something a little bit lower budget, but still probably pretty funny, even having like a kaiju wrestling kind of thing at the end. And the death battle idea of like having an actual explanation for why one side wins and why the other side didn't would be pretty neat. It would be kind of cool to see people who really know their kaiju try to create one to be as best as it could be while still being a cool kaiju.
You know what would be a funny because for our WTF panel, we do like we show a little pre-show video that we made. It's our like as Mike likes to call it, the fan fart theater, which is a bunch of like crazy like fan art. I was thinking like a pre-show video, but like have you ever seen Joel Haver or the one episode of Smiling Friends where the guys rotoscoped?
The rotoscoped.
Do a video like that, but for like our pre-show.
Dude, I
Because
would
I
love to do a rotoscoping video.
because the part in Smiling Friends where he like fights like his brother and the other dude becomes rotoscoped, it's really bad, and they're just like tackling each other and punching each other. Like that's in my head like 24/7. It's so funny.
Oh, I'd love to do that. That'd be such a good opening. I bet we could find someone who can rotoscope, honestly. That wouldn't be too difficult, I don't think. But shall we move on to our final questions before this podcast becomes 3 hours long?
Final round.
Let's see. Sergio, do you have anything in mind? Oh, you know, I might have something actually. Sherm, have you written any SCPs yourself? And if not, do you plan to?
Actually, when I joined the community, I felt it pertinent to make sure I wasn't being like a leech who was just using other people's work. And so within like my first year, I wrote my first SCP, which is SCP-3086, George the Chinchilla. And then from then, I don't get to writing very often, but I'm currently at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 articles on the wiki, one of which is a tale. And then I've done sound design for 4 other articles, either little sound effects or voice acting. But I have an author page. I am an SCP author, fair and square.
Very cool. Very cool. I love to see it. I think actually writing some of your own articles so that you can make stuff about it without feeling bad is really cool, honestly.
My most popular article is SCP-2700-EX, What I Did for Love, at a positive 484 rating.
Ooh, nice. 484, not bad at all. Very cool. I'm gonna have to check out your author page and give a few of your things a read. Oh, I felt like I had a little follow up to that too, but I can't remember what it was. So, Sergio, do you have anything to add there?
I guess on the the SCP writing train. Did you enjoy do you enjoy writing SCPs? Is it not something for you, or do you like what are your thoughts on the format like and trying to write for it?
So I can't write unless I have an idea that I'm really attached to. It's the whole ADHD thing. My one tale is for was for a contest, And actually, funny thing is our team didn't actually finish that contest. I had to do one tale, and then there was like 3 of us who had to write 4 things, and we didn't actually finish in time to compete. But it's my longest piece, and it's only because I kind of wrote it like a D&D DM, where I was kind of like one scene at a time. This is what happens. This is what happens. And then when I think of a good idea down the line, and I'm like, oh, I should foreshadow that, I'd like go back and like write in the foreshadowing earlier on, which, compared to DMing a game is nice. You can go back and fix your mistakes, it turns out.
Oh, I feel that.
One time I accidentally, with my D&D crew, wrote them into the Matrix. And one of my players pointed it out to me, and I was like, son of a bitch! And so it turned out that the NPC who told them that information, no, he was crazy and that wasn't happening and his brain was infected and you have to stop him now, okay? It's fine. But most of my articles you will find are quite short, as are most of the articles I read on the channels, because I prefer shorter articles. When it starts to get a little long in the tooth, it has to be really strong writing to keep me interested at all. Actually, SCP-5999, which I am a co-writer on only because I did some sound effects, is one of the few articles where I can go long and deal with it because it's a series of short stories instead of one long piece.
Yeah,
and then SCP-3999, which is probably one of my favorite articles on the site, is long as hell, but it's so much meta bullshit. And I love meta bullshit all my life. And that'll hold on to you.
Oh, I definitely feel that. The meta articles on the SCP Wiki are always my favorite. I
But what
definitely
really
get Sorry, say that
yeah,
again?
meta bullshit. Oh, I was about to say something, but yeah, meta bullshit all day, every day. I agree completely.
Absolutely.
Most of the time for me, I'll get an idea for an article, and it'll be like, okay, I need to write this. I'll stay up until 6 a.m. writing with like my little party lights and my candles lit and a couple of glasses of wine. And it's like, I'm going to knock this out in one night or I'm not going to do it. That's specifically how I wrote SCP-5886, which is one of my favorites just because it is one of my favorites I've written because it's based on one of my favorite songs and The Flash, the superhero. And so I got big feelings. And I just like pounded it out in one night, got crit, got it done.
I think I know what song you're talking about. Classic. Yeah, I also definitely feel what you're talking about with the it being easier to read articles that are more like collections of short stories. I feel that's why I always kind of gravitate towards series. Yeah, really helps the ADHD mind.
Yeah, I always find it hard to come up with ideas for SCPs, but like once I got the SCP like idea, like I can get going on it. But I always feel like every one is like a sort of like a puzzle to get it right, you know? Like it's always like a process of writing and then crit and then trying to figure out why it's not working and trying to get that fixed. I've got a rewrite of an article that Sean just did some editing for me on. It's a rewrite of an article called SCP-7114, the Fan Goddess. It's actually based on our podcast mascot, Fanon Chan. So me rewriting it has kind of reclaimed it, I guess, because it's technically based on something of us. But basically, it's an AI in a Matrix-like space that basically prevents deleted fan fiction about real people from influencing the real life or the real world.
It's a good article. I liked it a lot.
And by the way, my jujitsu move for the final question was going to be like, okay, now tell me about your SCP article. So we're right down in the train right now. Keep it coming, guys.
Sergio, you keep going then.
Yeah, because I've written way more SCP articles than you. I've got like 20 or so under my my belt.
Jesus, dude. Oh man.
So let me just hop into my SCP side chat channel and just do a little author search on Crom. Rank 341, 1,400 upvotes, 21 SCPs, 9 tales, 2 groups of interest formats, and 3 others.
Jeez, man. What's your highest uploaded article now?
My highest upvoted article would be 7261 interview with Lahuela Pucci. It's got 117 upvotes. It is an article about a Mexican vampire called Lahuela Pucci. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that because I don't think I ever learned how to pronounce it. But basically, they're a vampire from Mexican folklore. They like obviously they're a vampire. They feast on specifically the blood of infants. They can detach their legs to become to be transformed into an animal. They're either described as like fully becoming the animal or like getting the what do you call it? The like the features of one, like talons or like beaks, just taking the beak or just taking the talons. So the SCP is about one Lahuela Pucci instance that they find, Michaela Avalera, and throughout the article, Michaela is kind of regaining her will to live and finding a new purpose in working for the Foundation, because when they found her, she's obviously she's killed like a child, and they have to do this every month, and so like the researchers like, well, how long have you been you know like how long since you've been transformed into this, and they're like 24 months. You do the math, you know. I also introduced a new group of interest through this article called the Sepulchrum, which are kind of like, think like a Christian like mega church, but they're all about the concept of undeath. They believe that being undead in all of its many forms is the like peak of like what they like want to achieve, and they worship this book that they believe that like once they find it, they can give the gift of undeath to every person on the earth, which is kind of what they would view as paradise.
Undead afterlife. I mean, that's the same thing, right?
Somewhat. It is technically after your life in a way. You just didn't go anywhere this time.
When we said there was life after death, we weren't that specific.
Yeah, they're getting there, kind of.
But overall, I would say my main like crux as a writer is obviously I do a lot of like small town Midwest things. I've kind of adopted the small Wyoming town of Chugwater as my like base of operations for my site. So I do a lot of like articles that are like small town operations, from like obviously the Chugwater Frogman, a cryptid story. There's an SCP I did with Fly Purgatorio called The Lonely Star, which is about the Chugwater soda fountain. He's a little alien out in the Chugwater Flats who's mining anomalous soda and selling it. And the article is like basically just a conversation between the site director and the soda fountain guy, as she's kind of like espousing her history and where like basically like she's like lamenting about like the place where her life is going and where she sees it going. And then outside of like the small town Midwestern stuff, I like to do a lot of comedy articles. Obviously I did like the 4230, the anomaly or the redacted Fanon wiki, which is a parody of Fanon wikis and everything that goes with them. We did me and Jake did the ruler of the kingdom formerly known as the Site 78 break room, about a goblin from another dimension that has taken control of the Site 78 break room and made it his kingdom and has started taxing all the snacks and stuff inside. And the Foundation is helpless to stop him because they don't have enough money to buy an SRA to like to deal with his reality warping powers. They're just kind of stuck catering to his demands.
A reality anchor for the unformed.
I like the sound of that one.
That one is hilarious. I recommend it so much. Did I edit that article or did I just see it after it was written?
I think you just read
Or
it.
critique, I should say.
I can send you a link to it. Yeah, 6945.
Honestly,
And
I'd love
then
to do a reread.
I just kind of like to do just like, I don't know, cool things. That I just think is interesting. My first SCP was 6419 Izanami's Grimoire, which is basically just the Death Note, but in the SCP universe. Um, I did an article I'm a big fan of, 7233 The Astroneer, which is about a astronaut space adventurer who carries around this dude from like Tennessee named Felix to be like his like scribe. Like he's a sidekick and he writes down all of his adventures. And the astroneer, he's big, he's boisterous, he makes a bunch of shit up every time he tells his story. And it's kind of like just like an SEP article that kind of follows him throughout a century, as he's searching for love, because he's an astronaut in an air balloon, and there is a girl, like another girl in an astronaut suit in a zeppelin traveling through the cosmos. So it's kind of a love story as him and Felix are trying to track her down. And then at the end of the story, he ends up having to go on a big grand adventure to save her.
I feel like I remember reading an article about that. Not totally sure.
You probably read the article, Sean. Oh, actually, I did send it to you because I needed one more vote to get it to 40. So I sent it to you in the hopes that you would like it and upvote it.
Right, I remember that. Okay, it must have been a while ago. I don't remember it very well, but I do remember the concept. Good stuff, man. I love your work. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to say on that before I talk about my own?
Not really. It's just like
Scale the spotlight.
just about everything. Like obviously, like comedy and the Midwest stuff is kind of like where I like to go. And then if I find like a cool idea, because my whole canon is kind of based around like cyberpunk. I mean, the name of it, The Ninth World, is a reference to the fourth world in Shadowrun. Because in Shadowrun, there's kind of like a world system where the world like ebbs and flows of being like non-magical to magical, and where cyberpunk Shadowrun takes place, magic has obviously shown back up, and that's kind of like the setting. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that, but for SCP, where the world was in a like a sort of like kind of normal, kind of general anomalous state, and then one big event happened, and now shit is fucked, and the players of the world are kind of scrambling and jockeying for power now that things are more anomalous and there's new creatures and things that weren't possible are now possible.
Very cool concept.
Nice.
Perfect for the SCP wiki. Really good bit of variety while still fitting very well. Yeah, cool. My personal SCP stuff, I see. I like to imagine. I like to say I'm kind of like an alternate universe prolific author, because I think in an alternate universe I'm probably a prolific author. But so far I've written exactly one SCP, and I'm probably not going to write another one, to be honest. I really enjoyed writing the one SCP I did write, SCP-6443. Go read it. I'm actually still very proud of it. I went back and edited it a little bit just recently with my new expertise. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I think I'm fully capable of writing another, but I don't know if I will at any point, to be honest. At least not anytime soon, because the whole process is just like, as Sherm was saying, I don't know, man. My ADHD, it's just like, it's so much to go through. Whenever I write anything, which I do very often, I still write very often, just mostly for myself and for other things I do that are not at all connected to my public life or my Sean Saxon persona. Whenever I do stuff like that, it's like I kind of want to write it, maybe edit it, and then be done with it. And with the SCP Wiki, it's just like, that's not really how you get something on the SCP Wiki, which is fine, of course. Just I don't think it's for me. But I will still say, SCP-6443, I am very, very proud of it, and you should go check it out. Yeah, that's kind of it for me. I also want to say you should go check out The Cool War, which is still my favorite series ever, and probably one of my favorite moments of my life is talking to the author of The Cool War after reading it like 5 times, and him telling me, there's other stuff you can read, right? After I told him how many times I've read his work.
The old Undertale, don't you have anything better to do?
Yeah, seriously. That's exactly what it felt like. It was like, I mean, thanks, man. I'm flattered, but like, there's other stuff you can read, right? It was good. Yeah, go check out my interview with Random and I. Entirely unrelated, but yeah. Is that all? Are we there?
I think we made it to the finish line.
Yippee! All right. I really enjoyed this episode. It was great having you on, Sherm. This was honestly really fun. I was a little unsure of how this was going to go with only two members of our like 7-person podcast, but I think the chemistry between us three ended up being perfect.
A fantastic conversation, and we certainly filled some time.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was not
Oh,
expecting this to go for
definitely.
2 hours and 30 minutes, but I definitely enjoyed doing this with you guys.
Yeah, enjoyed every moment of it, and I hope our audience will too.
All right, so I guess it's time to we should actually wrap this up. Sherm, it was nice having you on the show, and if you ever want to come back on to do some SCP stuff, we'd be more than happy to have you.
Yeah.
Where can we find you, so the audience knows where they can locate you at? I'll of course drop your links in the episode description, but go ahead and say wherever you can be found.
Yep, this is Sherman or Dr. Theron Sherman from Site42. Depending on your social media platform, it's either SITE-42, or maybe it's SITE_42, or maybe it's just SITE42. Because every social media sometimes has that guy who snipes your handle and you can't have it, even though they're not posting anything in the past 10 years. And you're still sitting there holding the spot up when other people could be using it. But if you look up Dr. Theron Sherman from Site42, you'll find me easy enough.
All right, very cool. And I very highly recommend that you go and check him out, dear listeners. Very cool stuff that this man is doing.
Yes, I do I do enjoy your TikTok shorts a lot. You do good stuff.
Much appreciated.
And as for Sherman fans who might be checking us out for the first time through this episode, if you're interested in what we do on the wiki, what I do on the wiki, because the So You Think You Can Fanon SCP account is me. Don't ban me, please. There are not multiple people using that account. It's just me. You can check out my work at my author page, which is just scpwiki.com/SYTYCFanon. For all of my works, the canon page is the Ninth World Hub, which can either be found on the canon page or by typing in the link. Obviously, you can find us at wherever podcasts can be found. We need to be doing a little bit more YouTube uploading of our backlog, but Spotify, Audible, anywhere, like literally anywhere. If it carries a podcast, we're on it. And with that, we love you as always.
Yippee!